That's still a cool song, dude. I don't ever get sick of it.
Yeah, I don't either. And it's like, honestly, like we listen to music a lot. Music's a big part of our lives. It's almost like I just feel like making my own music from now on.
Yeah, some of the new songs we've been. Speaking of that, I'll mention it at the end of the show, but we have another song to go at the end of this show that went with our shootout video. So we'll talk about that one. It's a really cool and it's got great trail footage from the right. So let's talk about that. Right behind you is your 350 XCF.
Yep.
That has been. It's not been broken bad, but it's been beat up. It needed some plastic pieces, 3 or 4 pieces, and some graphics from where you messed
originally
from that trail trip.
But on the previous trail trip, I because I like to fall a lot. Mm-hmm. Remember, we rebuilt the pipe.
Yep, the muffler, and so that, and then obviously you got me parts to rebuild what I broke on this last trip, which I didn't even really fall. I think I hooked a log or something, and that's what grabbed that airbox. Mm-hmm. I still think you fell.
Well, I fell a couple times, but I tipped over a few times.
All right. So before we get going too far, remember that if you're going to be shopping for dirt bike parks, use our Rocky Mountain link. You can get there from all over, links in this video or from our website. Any of that is great. Okay, let's talk quickly about the Nationals. They're over. When this comes out...
Wait, what show is this?
This is 37. Sorry, I forgot that.
Right.
37. Show number 37.
That's right.
Cody Schock.
Who's kind of a buddy of ours.
Right. So we did a video with him and Norm Francis about an older CR. It was really cool.
Yeah, did that at Blackmore.
Yeah. And Norm helped him build it. It came out really nice. It was fun.
Who else can you think of that was 37?
I think like Kevin Crine.
Yeah, Martin Davalis.
Oh, my word. Okay.
And I know that I think Casey Johnson, like in
not a ton of
way
top
back in the
dudes.
day. No,
doesn't
I think
come.
It's like 250 guys mainly kind of get into these numbers.
Okay. Well, Nationals have finished, and it was a fun national summer. I watched a lot of them.
Yeah,
most every one I watched. And I know you get into a program too, even when you're out of town.
I do. Yeah.
Vacation. So you bring an HDMI cord to your hotel.
I do.
Right. Set it up to the TV in the hotel room. All that. So that's a good tech tip right there.
It's no different than at home. I tell everybody I'm shut down from this time to this time.
It's just 5 hours.
It's just 5 hours. And I watch like everything like you do. I watch the morning program and then I go ahead and watch the race.
Yeah, it's totally fun. It's nice.
I don't like missing it.
Right. No, it's a drag, and it's not fun when you know who won and all that. It's not.
I go into media blackout.
Right. So no huge surprises as far as the champions, right?
Yep.
I mean, Jet's incredible. I was telling you the other day, I wish honestly. And I'm not a huge Jet fan, but I think what he's doing is awesome. I wish they'd actually show him more because he's so good on I call it the bunny hopping, and just his technique on the track is just amazing. I wish they'd show him more rather than showing an ex-world champion going backwards the whole race.
Right.
Right. That's terrible.
I don't want to say I wasn't a fan either, but I was not as up on him, but you just can't deny what the kid is. Guy is. Jet is just...
And I think part of our hesitation is we've been through McGrath, Carmichael, Stewart. We've been through these guys that get these huge runs, and it's just lights out, boring. They get a whole shot, they win. We know this. So we're always worried about that. And so I think no matter who it is, we don't want to see Boy Wonder just make a 5-year run, right?
No, I agree.
Or longer, potentially, because he's only 21.
Yep.
Right? Is that it?
I think so.
I think he just turned 21 or 22. I mean, it's really young.
So how do you stay motivated for this kind of...
I think it's a tough part because I think money is a decent motivator, right? But to a certain point, then it can be tough, I think. So I think it's just going to depend on his chemical makeup and how he is able to steal, because he just signed that big contract. We don't know the details, but people are saying he signed some type of $20 million contract.
22 million?
Something.
So if he's 22 million, I mean, he could legitimately make 50 million in 5 years.
Right. Because that's just his Honda contract. So,
right.
So we don't know, but as far as him staying, and that's why I question if he can really get to the 72 wins in Supercross, because you're going to have to stay very motivated. He does get a couple more races a year. He gets 2 more races a year than McGrath had.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
So that's not cool, but he has more races to chew it from. So we'll see how it goes. So far, he missed, most of a whole season this year,
I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying.
How many does he have? Like 10 or 11?
Yeah.
Something like that. We looked at the other day.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, watch out for Deegan. But I do believe Deegan is going to be competition for him at least in a couple of years.
I have a question here. So will Deegan challenge him next summer?
Next summer? Yeah, I think so.
Like, challenge him. I mean, do you think Deegan wins a Moto or 3 or 4?
I say
Possible,
Deegan wins overall.
Okay. We should mark this episode that
Let's do it.
predicted this.
I think Deegan will win in overall.
I think he can mess with him. It's going to be interesting. I hope.
Listen, all you have is one bad start.
That's part of our hope, too. And that's why we did so bad in our fantasy is because we go with got what we want to happen more than what's probably going to happen.
I got to be honest, I quit fantasy. I just stopped predicting.
Because it was so bad.
Yeah.
All right. The next question is, will Chase be good on the KX450U? You think he'll be good on it? When I say good, as good as he is now on the KTM or was on the Honda, that good. Not talking about beating Jet regularly, but top 3.
I think it'll be tough.
You think he's going to be worse than he is right now this year?
Yes, because we view Chase a little bit more like mentally in himself. And now you're going from something you just kind of figured out.
Right.
And it took him a minute to figure it out.
I kind of...
Does he go right away and figure out the KX?
I kind of hope he does. Here's why.
I do too.
You know why I hope he does? Because it'll make that Prado look really silly. So that's what I kind of hope happens, that he does really well.
Yeah. And
right away. And he's good, outdoor. So
I'm hoping he does as well.
Right.
Because I like Chase.
Right.
I'm going to sound crazy. I think he's got every bit of good a technique as Jet does. And
we're assuming Prado's not racing. Even I don't think he races SMX. I don't see how with what's been going on. Well, when this comes out, it'll already kind of be over and decided.
Yeah,
but
Hopper made an interesting point. He had Andrew Short on his show, and he said he believes that Prado was with that 43rd gave Cowie the middle finger.
Yeah,
he was just saying
he was trying not to qualify.
And
then he didn't realize that he was just seated in. I'm thinking, that's what I think. Yeah. As soon as it happened, I go, that has to be on purpose.
Has to be on purpose.
Like you're not at that level and don't qualify.
Right? How does a guy that's impossible?
Impossible.
Yeah.
All right. So then the next thing is, are you excited about Taylor Swift's engagement?
I'm about as excited as her engagement is when her and John Mayer broke up. I don't know.
I didn't know she was. I didn't pay attention. I don't know any of her past.
I only know that she was with him because he was a playboy of all playboy, and
she was there. Okay, so I made a funny post, about this morning. Did you see that post? I
did see it.
Okay,
yep.
There's a really funny comment. One of the first comments is hilarious about something. So I don't have to get into it here, but if you go back and read that,
I'm going to go read it.
It's hilarious. All right. So somebody made a funny comment about it. All right. So lately,
I cannot tell you one Taylor Swift song. I can't.
Teardrops on My Guitar.
You can tell more
her
than
first album that was country was actually pretty good. Like when she was country.
Right. I told you the whole deal with that. Like I think Toby Keith or somebody signed her originally.
Yeah, I don't know the details on that.
Yeah, but she was country and then she abandoned that.
They're kind of on our country and people. We go through this royalty phase.
Yeah.
Remember Brad and Angelina were like royalty?
Yep.
So people, I don't know, they want to project. And it's like, because we don't have royalty here, so we have to make up royalty.
Right.
And so now this is like the royalty. So when it was all exciting, we're texting around to the family. I was kind of pretending that I was all excited about it. And, it's like, we should like go to where this wedding is when it's around,
right.
And just hang out in the streets like they would a royal wedding.
Sure.
And cheer them on, like we're so excited for you.
I have a feeling it's probably going to be some top secret thing someplace.
Yep. Okay. And my post, I was kind of wondering if it would last longer than a new dirt bike, than a marriage.
Right.
Sorry. Don't have faith in these.
I think that I honestly believe it's a PR relationship.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's fake news. What?
I think there was some PR issues she was having, and then, I think this is a PR relationship. But
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. That's like Earth's flat kind of thing, or
Yeah. All right.
All right. We'll see.
All right. Let's go back. I think Mark, number 37. I say Deegan will win an overall next summer.
Wow. Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can go that far, but I hope he does.
Yeah.
I really hope he does.
I'm laying it on the line.
This guy won our that SMX fantasy. He got like 338th out of the whole deal, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And he was our overall winner of the whole thing. Let me see if I can find his name here. He wrote me, and I'm going to actually send him a t-shirt.
In our group?
Yeah, from our group.
Nice.
One of our followers. And he, I have to see where he was. He's a good dude. And one, Joseph Parks. Okay. I'm not sure where he's from. Oh, you know what? He sent me his address. And he's a cop, a former racer. He's in like Maryland or somewhere. Yeah.
And still a police officer?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I'm glad he won because,
So I'm going to send him a shirt or two.
we need those guys to have as much positive as they can.
Right. Okay. I got a new bike too. I've been riding the last few weeks. That's always fun, right, Donnie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. New bike day
You
is
wouldn't
great.
know about that, riding.
No, I wouldn't.
Moto. So we've been going to Glen Helen a bunch, and Spencer was in town, and I got a 25 FC 250, and I really like the steel frame bikes. I go back and forth, and when I get on there, especially on the track, it just feels at home. Of course, we do have the luxury of putting some KYB kit on there.
Sure. That does help.
Race Tech helped, got it dialed in on suspension, and if the bike's dialed in on suspension, the only thing I've done to that bike is an ECU from Jamie at Twisted. We got that ECU on there, and a 52 tooth rear sprocket. So one up on the rear sprocket and a slip-on muffler.
Slip-on?
From FMF. Yeah, that's it.
There you
and
go.
the thing just rips. It's awesome. And actually, I have these right here. They're going to go on there next. I brought
Hangers.
these because they had just got them today.
Yep.
So Works Chassis Lab has these cool hangers, so we're going to get those on there, give it a little less rigid feel, but it's pretty good stock. So these bikes are really good. As you can see in the video, I've been riding it a bunch at Glen Helen. It's just a blast.
I've seen some video already
Yeah,
of you.
and the graphics came out real cool, kind of
Yeah.
similar to David's graphics.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jamie at Twisted, I think that is our special guest for today.
That is,
Yeah, he's going to be coming in just a little bit.
He is.
He just got here, so we'll bring him in just a little bit. So that bike's been really fun. New videos, we have the best dual sport build, the ES500s we built.
Yep.
Those have ECUs as well. Not just ECUs, but they've been upgraded to the extent that they have quick shift on both bikes.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing, huh?
Yeah.
You have it on
I
yours.
have quick shift on mine, yeah.
Yeah. You just don't ride, so you don't get a
I ride that.
Okay.
And I'm going on a dual sport ride.
We're going to talk about that at the end.
Oh,
Don't
at the end.
spoil- yeah.
Okay. Well, you just keep telling me I don't ride.
Right.
And so,
So that video's up. And
hey,
then
those ESs when you bought those is when you got me in trouble and got a ticket.
but it didn't count. I got it.
You got it annulled.
Okay, then we got the CRF shock removal video. That's up there.
Yep.
And then on the project bikes lately, I got some photos here and some video of the teardown on the KX500.
I just saw your Instagram story on it today.
Right. So we got the 500. I got the cylinder right here. It's a big bore 500. It's a steel sleeve that was seized and damaged. So I'm working on getting another cylinder. I want to put a stock bore cylinder.
Yeah.
500 is going to be plenty.
Well, and they already rattle
is
enough.
540. It's a lot of vibration.
It's a lot of vibration.
Yeah, even getting the crank balance and all that. I don't know that I need it. It's just this is more of a novelty for us. Building a cool motocross
Well, you told
bike.
me after we did mine that you'd never do this again.
Yeah. That's what she said.
So I realized that you can never say never.
Right. Okay.
All right.
So we did that, and then Buttery, Connor, and Eli came by the shop and picked up one of the 95, 96s. They just bought that one. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it, but that was pretty fun. I got some cool photos of
I
that
saw
day.
that. So you don't know if they're going to ride it and
I don't know.
jump some streets in downtown LA or whatever?
I hope not.
Okay.
Okay. But it's out of my control now. It's theirs. So we still have two left. And yeah, I got some pictures here. The black one and the white and red one are both left on those. So before we get any further, let's just say, hey, this show, today we are brought to you by all of our good companies: Wiseco, Dunlop, FMF, Cardo Systems, Ventco, Decal Works, Blaster Products, Arc Levers, Works Connection Pro X, Race Tech. And with Race Tech, remember there are in November, it's like the 8th, 9th, 10th, starting that week, there's seminars on suspension seminars.
Yeah.
And I'm actually trying to get Spencer to go if he can make it down. to come down.
Be a good idea.
These seminars are really cool. You learn a lot.
Why don't you send Ratto?
No.
No Ratto. Okay.
So anyway, you learn a lot at these seminars, and so there's different levels. There's like 2-day blocks, so you can just get the shop help if you've never even worked on you would work on suspension on those days. They have shop skills, they have theory and different things that they'll teach you. So
that's very cool.
Yeah, and everybody I've talked to that's done it is real happy with it. So. Okay, so that's a good spot right there. Let's switch to our guest now.
Let's switch to our guest. Okay.
Cool. Okay, here we are. Jamie Ellis, Twisted Development. Nice hat.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Jamie's a business owner, a engine builder,
Wear a lot of hats.
past mechanic, like starting crew chief. What else?
Team manager.
Team manager. Yeah. What else have you done?
I mean, a lot of that.
A lot of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the first thing that because I know you went to school to be an aviation mechanic,
Yeah.
right? So why did that? You finished it. I'm guessing when you did that, you spent time doing this and money, whatever. You're doing this. Why'd you just not continue?
Well, I finished college, so I got a degree, and then at that stage, the guy that was actually doing my motors and suspension, I was working for an oil field company.
Yeah.
And it's called JP Oil, and it's Chris Van Way, and he had 6 kids, right? So I maintenance probably 30 motorcycles for this family.
Oh, okay.
And so through college, I was doing that, and I was still racing. I'd get to race with them on the weekends, and so I kind of did my whole college way through that. Started a motocross school, like locally in Louisiana, right? And so I did that. You know, I did group lessons, private lessons. I had a couple weekly customers. Like I wasn't that busy, so I could pick kids up from school, take them riding, take them home. You know, like however it would work out. Like I could do that type of stuff at that stage of my life. And so I kind of just went through that, and then basically finished college. The guy in Houston that was doing my motors and suspension goes, "Dog, come on the road with me. Just give me one Supercross season. I need a mechanic." And so I was at a moment where I could, right? So I put everything I had in storage and went for one Supercross East Coast Series with Jeff DeMint.
Yep.
And I don't know, I just loved it, right? Like I felt like I was still racing because I was on the sidelines, and then there was a level of excitement of like being on the track, boarding, doing those things, and the schedule was pretty gnarly, you know, like you have to be super regimented to get your bike done and, you know, make sure you're on it to make, so like I just really loved that environment, and I never looked back.
Yeah.
So pretty much after the season was over, my rider Jeff DeMint made it through, let's say, Colorado, and he had a pretty big crash. So I'd already networked my way into meeting Dave Osterman at Colorado for an interview. And then
who was Dave with at that time?
Yamaha Troy.
Okay.
Yep. So I kind of went back to Louisiana and Texas, you know, to work out of the shop there and then finish the series. And then at the end of that series, I moved to California, and I've been here ever since. So I've been here
Was
since
that early 2000s?
2005.
2005.
Did you get your AMP?
Yeah. I finished schooling, you know, A&P, and I've never worked on an airplane professionally one day in my life.
Crazy. Okay.
So if you hadn't have gone on that East Coast tour, let's say, if that opportunity hadn't have come up, you'd probably still be working on planes.
Yeah. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was a young kid in Louisiana.
But knew enough that you wanted to spend time on this plane thing. You thought, because you're pretty mechanical, right?
Yeah.
You know, at that time.
Yeah, but that really was kind of a byproduct of the thought, right? Like I wanted to be able to do contract work. And in Lake Charles, where I grew up, there's a Northrop Grumman station there, and they work on planes and whatever. So I could basically kind of get enough experience. My idea growing up, like everybody has their own vision, right? Like I wanted to maybe get a fifth wheel with a nice dually or something, and then work in Montana for, 6 months, whatever, then go somewhere else. So like I knew I wanted to travel.
Yeah.
I didn't think dirt biking would take me all over the world as it has, which is crazy. But yeah, so I knew I wanted to move around and be mobile and see things and activate and make some money and kind of travel. So that started the whole aviation scenario, where that was the motivation, was never to work 9 to 5 in a local factory. It was to have some mobility.
That's awesome. So because you feel like, so even if you hadn't have done the moto, you would have done a traveling mechanic and trying different places on the aviation side.
Yeah, only because growing up in Louisiana, it's not like there's a national that goes there, and New Orleans Supercross comes sometimes. It hasn't been in a while, but it wasn't like I guess if you grew up in Corona, you know, the dream could be a race team mechanic and be fathomable.
Yeah.
But from Louisiana's standpoint, it was going to be a little bit hard. And I never even really know if I was good enough or could do it or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden I was just doing it. And I'm like, you know, you kind of, in life, I fake it till I make it in everything I go into. Where like, I got the shirt on. I mean, I might as well just figure out how to hold the bolts tight. And then, you know, like that escalates into wanting to be the master of a trade, right? Because I did end up, you know, being a race team mechanic for over 10 years. And it was like, as much as I enjoyed that, I did feel as if financially, family-wise, all of those things, it was kind of troubling on the travel and all those things.
Yeah.
So that leads me down the path of wanting to be a specialist, right?
Right.
And then I'd kind of done the math in my head. I'm like, okay, you want to be, if you want to make enough money, you kind of have to be a specialist of something. And then in this sport, there's the engine route and there's the suspension route, right? You become a specialist of those. Yeah. You can, you know, I thought at the time, whenever I'm figuring these things after my 10 year plus tenure of just, you know, beating the streets hard from supercross to cow field, like just doing the circuit. And so I thought, well, if I don't become a specialist of something, my relationship at home is going to struggle. You know, I'm going to miss my kids' childhood. Like I'm gone on the fun times, right? Like my wife also works. So she'd be at work and I'd fly away for the weekend whenever all the kids are like going to birthday parties and doing these things and whatever. So it is a very taxing on your body job.
No, it's gnarly. The guys that do it for, I mean, there's guys out there that you see that at their national, that have been doing it for 30 years, going to the nationals. I did it for just a bit. And it was enough after I, you know, did it for a few years, traveling like that. And it's the travel that was tough.
Yep.
And travel before 9/11 was substantially better.
For sure.
Way better. You didn't do as much traveling before 9/11 because you're way younger than us.
I remember, like, I think you could all probably tell me the same story, but I was in college in Lake Charles, and we didn't do one thing that day. Whenever the things hit, you know, like, all we could do is just as a community and whatever is just sit there and just watch the TV. And I just remember that feeling. It was insane.
Before then, just so you know, we flew out of Ontario or wherever we'd fly out of. And I would fly first class most of the time because they would upgrade us. And if we didn't fly first class, we usually had a row to ourselves in the back of the plane, you know, on the plane. So it was just like, and everything was so much easier. And so that really salted me. It was like tough. So that made traveling even more hassle. So 20 years seems like a long time, but in Moto, to kind of get to where you've gotten to in 20 years is pretty impressive. Like to go from zero, let's say, to winning 450 Supercross races is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look, I couldn't
20 years.
I couldn't pave that path again if I went back 20 years. Like, life is about opportunity and those things. So, like, if a door opens, you have to be willing to bust it open and go through it, right? So,
you've had to have done a good job and impressed people to where those doors come find you sometimes too. With these different race teams that you were on. So Yamaha Troy was first.
Yep.
Race team, and were you married then? In 05?
So I was not married, but I was dating my wife.
Okay.
So she's a California girl.
Okay.
Which also kind of made like, I need to make this industry work because you don't move a California girl to Louisiana very easily.
Right.
You know? So
she hadn't seen the size of the bugs there or the humidity.
Well, no, she has seen it in like brief stints, and it's really fun.
Hey, I'm going to tell you,
the South is amazing.
A side note, I went and shot video in just above Lake Pontchartrain, and it was so hot and humid. I've never had this happen before. Both my cameras shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can wear probably 2 to 3 shirts a day pretty easy.
They just shut off. They were like, there's no more shooting.
So when you're back there, you just get used to just having a few extra shirts in the truck.
Yeah, like, so whenever I go home, I'm like working on mom and dad's stuff and just trying to like put my parents in a better situation because I'm the son that left, right?
Right.
So I try my best to attitude and effort and show up with like a lot of attitude and effort and just make stuff happen. And so, yeah, I do pack a couple shirts. And
I know when your dad's come out here, he'd have the barbecue going there at the shop with all the full, you know,
Cajun style.
Yeah. Like he had a grill, he had everything. It was pretty good.
It is the best place. Louisiana is the best place I've ever had barbecue in my life.
For food. Okay. So anyway, so you went to Yamaha Troy and that paved the path for going further. And so where'd you go after that?
So networking is like kind of the way that anything in life happens, right? Like my son's learning to golf and like even that, you know, you can make some friends and go out on the course and kind of like have some camaraderie for, you know, whatever. So networking as a young race team mechanic was like, I saw a couple guys in the bar. Hey, how are you? You know, whatever. But anyway, so I'd kind of met some guys from KTM, and they had took a notice to Andrew McFarlane, the guy, late Andrew McFarlane. I was his mechanic, and his bike looked good. The graphics were put on straight. The bolts didn't fall off, like all the minimums, right?
No DNFs, yeah.
And so because I kind of made a little bit of friends with them, it got me in an interview with Kurt Nicole, and Yamaha Troy at that time was a little shaky. You know, like Phil Alderton and those guys were kind of towards their tailing end on the way out. And so wanting to stay in the industry and wanting to stay in California, I ended up taking a job at KTM. So that moved me down to this Marietta area where we're at now.
Because you were up in Valencia area, which is like, just so people don't know, that's like, you know, 3 hours apart or whatever, you know. So you moved back down here, and now you're set up there, and then that means you've lived in the same area then the rest of the time. What year did you leave Yamaha Troy, like 06, 07?
So I got there in 05, and I left at the end of 06 prior to the 07 Supercross Series.
And then you're at KTM, and that had to be a good, because then you're just working on engines mainly, right?
No, I was Mike Alessi's mechanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm still mechanicking for quite some time, right? So I was
and just so you know, when you, or you're not so you know, but everybody else, when you started in 05, everything had just shifted to 4-strokes, basically, right? Like, was there still some 125s at Yamaha Troy?
Metcalf just finished the 125s, and was on to a steel framed Yamaha 250F.
250F.
So whenever I showed up, you know, still pretty green, right? Like making it and faking it and going for it. I got thrown in. All the other mechanics, like this time of the year, so we're just post outdoor nationals when this thing's shooting, right? So there's like a burnout season, and I know whenever it's happening because the resumes at the shop start pouring in, and I'm like, hey man, calm down, you're gonna be fine. You just had a long season, so like I've kind of become guidance counselor to a lot of these younger mechanics as well, where I'm like, dude, it happens every year, and you know, it triggers because like, little Johnny, the mechanic next to you that's in the rut with you all year, well, he's going to factory Honda, and then this guy's going to the, you know, so then it's like, oh man, what am I doing? You kind of get stir crazy, and then you're like probably pretty happy at what you're doing, but you feel like tired, and then that creates emotions. And like, I was saying the same thing to Larry Brooks the other day. I'm like, Larry, this is every year. Now that I'm not in the rut, I can see it clearer than you can see things now. Like, you just need a little break, and that's going to happen. And then you'll be so motivated to go again. I couldn't possibly hold you out of it.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. So how was that working with Alessi? Was that fun?
It was challenging too, right? I mean, I'm like learning the KTM, because like the 06 to 07 bike was like a dramatically different Euro looking machine, if you remember.
Oh,
like,
yeah. So different than a Yamaha, right? Like,
Yep. And then
from every bolts and, you know, 13s, and just everything is different.
Well, and the other thing I'll say is like whenever I got this job at Factory KTM, I thought I was going to die there. You know what I mean? I thought, this is it. I finally made it. I just got to not screw this up, because, you know, I could like go into the R&D department later in life whenever I'm tired of traveling, or maybe do media for a while, you know, like I kind of just thought I had arose.
Right.
And like, I got to, you know, where am I going to put my stuff? Right. Like, I'm just trying to figure that out. And then Mike Alessi was great. Tony was gnarly, to say the least.
Did you believe the hype?
I actually did believe the hype, because I mean, but it was also chaos. Like, there was a lot going on. Like, you know, between Jeff and Mike going at each other as they could, and then Tony going at both of them, and then finds fish oil and some supplement, and then there's like a flip out session about some vitamin that's got Mike Alessi have an arm pump, and it was, I mean, it was chaos. So Kurt Nicole
I heard a story at Millville that Wyndham was looking at the sand whoops, and that Alessi went up there to Wyndham and started telling him how to go through the whoops. Did you?
I could imagine that. I could totally imagine that.
And then Wyndham's like, "What are you talking about?" I know how to go through these.
But you know, I mean, Tony was a very good mental coach to Mike. And in other contra-belief, people could say what they want about the guy from the outside if you don't know him, right? But like, there's nothing that Tony Alessi does in the morning outside of thinking about how to make a better motorcycle or a better athlete. And it was proof, because at some point, you know, I think Suzuki may have pushed Tony out a little bit, and then Mike kind of plummeted, and then Tony comes back, and then Mike is back again. So it's like people thought that they could remove him from the program, but like I would say the gnarliest thing about Tony that I remember was there was no backup plan to not hole shotting.
Right.
Like it was so important to get the hole shot that like Mike could hole shot and win by 40, 50 seconds, like easy, right? Like skill wise.
Yeah.
And then whenever he didn't get a good start and would come through the pack, it's like there was no backup mentality to hole shotting. And so that was something that I saw like a reverse effect, maybe, you know, outside looking in.
Yeah.
Was how powerful the constant, you know, pressure and training and like those things can, positive reinforcement nonstop can make a positivity in a person, right? So if you surround yourself with positive things or like very direct things, you're good at those things. And that was kind of a proof to that concept.
And how many years did you work as a mechanic there?
I didn't make it a whole year.
Okay.
No, I made it at KTM, but I didn't make it working for Mike.
Okay.
Tony pretty much fired me off the job after Southwick. He said that Mike Alessi was going to have shoulder surgery if Jamie Ellis was still his mechanic. Oh. But you see what it was? Well, so Dean Baker was my boss, right? Me and Dean. And so like we had like something happen in the engine, whatever, the week before. And Dean told me, hey, you tell Tony that I'm your boss and that he's not. And so here, young me, right? That didn't work out well for me. But Dean did have my back after, and I still did end up working at KTM. Yeah. But they did end up hiring a new mechanic after I'll show you, came back to get after me. So
have you talked to Tony much since then?
Tony and I are cool now. Like we co-announced at the Hangtown Regional.
That's awesome.
And level of respect for him. Like I said, I mean, I'm past that. Like maybe my wife's not, but I am.
No, I know. You noticed that wives hold on to it way longer.
Wife, yeah,
mine does too. Yeah. Like she doesn't forgive. Like she'll forgive family things, different things. But if there's someone that like in business or whatever, no, she holds on to it more, for sure.
Yeah, but no, Tony and I have a great relationship now. Like friendly, we talk. We park next to each other at the regional.
Very cool.
So everything's good, and I respect him a lot because, like I said a lot of things about him, but what I said the most was how passionate he is about what he's doing, and
he's done good with Moto Concepts, right? Like everything I see that they've done, he seems to work hard, and
I would say it's a professional outfit. From the outside looking in. Yeah. I'm not on the inside of it to know the inner gripings or whatever, but I could say that I think he definitely is trying. Right. I mean, that's what I care about. People that put in a lot of effort.
And so, you did you learn a lot about? When you were at KTM there, did you have to do more on the bike than say at Yamaha? What were you doing more? You weren't doing engine work. You were just putting engines in.
Yeah, so I built my own engines at Yamaha Troy, and then we had an engine builder at KTM. So, but I still rebuilt like engines and stuff at the shop or whatever. But actually, the confrontation with Tony about the engine department and whatever is what gave me an opportunity to sit in the chair I'm in today. Because after that happened, like through the darkness rises, bright light, and I spent a ton of time in the dyno room because now I had free hands.
Oh, so they had you as a shop guy. They put you back.
I'm stabbing dyno motors. I'm learning to dyno and all that stuff. And then they gave me the project to tune the Motocross of Nations bikes and support all of the other people from around the world that came to race Budds Creek that year. So I was working with Joaquin Rodriguez as his rider for Portugal. I forget where he's from. But so I'm on that team for the race, but I also like prepared all the wheels and all the spares and all the carburetors and the settings and the fuel. So I'm in the dyno room like just hammering stuff out with like no chaperone.
Very cool.
So I'm like testing the leak jet, like how long the sprays are, and like creating data for myself, stuff that I was really passionate about at Yamaha Troy.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I have time on my hands. So I would say it's the greatest gift that anybody's ever given me.
So when you learned to jet those carbs and you were testing squirters and stuff like that and leak jets and stuff, how much did that help you for when you started tuning fuel injection?
Well, everything, because like I was doing these throttle stops, right, where I just drill a hole in the top of the carburetor and I'd make like an extension so that basically I could, whenever I came on the throttle, I'd hold it, right? Yeah. And then I kind of learned where the slide area would interfere, because the slides were like huge for carburetors whenever we got those figured out.
Right.
So like a stock slide would be like a 1.5 radius cutout and then a 3.5 or whatever. So that made the bike just insane. But I would find these areas where I would just dump the throttle on, and then I'd watch the air fuel curves and I'd see what that would affect, right? Like an engine is a vacuum.
Right.
You only give it the right jets to provide what it needs at that time. But it's pulling the fuel through the jets, right? So when you learn how that affects the carburetor and the running of the machine.
The Bernoulli effect.
Yep. And it takes what it wants, right? And if it's trying to take too much, you have too small of a jet. You need to put it in the right environment to give it what it needs.
Yeah, and I think of how much you learned on those carburetors. It would relate to fuel injection and be such a great help, right? Like, I don't think if somebody didn't go through that and maybe totally understand that, it'd be harder to grasp it. I think
it'd be 100% harder because there's like the accelerator pump on a carburetor, right?
Right.
A big event bog would happen when they didn't have them, so they put these in that if a big event happens, it sprays extra fuel, right? That's the leak jet circuit. Well, digitally, there's the same thing. So there's scheduled fuel, and then there's like above scheduled fuel, which is event based. So understanding that leak jet, how long it sprays for, when it tapers off, and how to make a good carburetor works has digitally helped me to understand that part of the process.
How much of the formal education that you got as an AMP helped kind of your confidence in knowing, I mean, when you're working on an airplane, it's life and death, just like it is on a motocross, really. I mean, did any of that kind of early education help with building some of these motors?
I would say a little bit, but not a lot. Reason being is what the aircraft school taught me is how to be a good test taker. Well, the way the aviation stuff is scheduled is you're pretty much required a certain amount of hours to be deemed a professional, and then you have to pass these tests. Well, I knew the answers to the test before I really knew the questions, because I would just go through and just hammer out, like, to be good in school, you have to pass the test, right? So like I learned how to be a good test taker. So I would say that maybe my information retention wasn't like as high as if it was something I was overly passionate about, but I could take the test and get past that. I definitely did learn how to, like FARs, Federal Aviation, you have to follow FARs, right? And if you do that and something happens, you're cool. But if you don't do that, so like that is another thing that I would say from aviation that definitely comes forward, is they've been there, they've done that. The technology isn't like overly high end, so it's not like on edge to blow up. So typically if you do the things they're saying to do, you're deemed pretty cool, and it does usually work out, right? Yeah. So there's a level of not having to be a good mechanic on if it'll run or not. It's going to time out on a plane, and you're not going to use it anymore. Yep. You never want to see failure.
Right. I was thinking about jetting, and as far as, for me, it's much easier to jet a two-stroke. It's like I just know have the numbers, little feel. I can jet a two-stroke fairly easily and get it close, right? Mm-hmm. But a four-stroke, it's a lot. You can get it to run where it runs decent. You might not know where it could be better when you're just riding it. You can't tell it. I guess that goes for a fuel-injected bike. So sometimes when you give me a different ECU, we try it. Like, I couldn't tell you, necessarily where I want it better, and you just put it on and it's better. It's like, it's better.
Yeah, no, you're right on the two-strokes. It's a lot the same. You have a fuel screw, like depending on what side of the
air screw,
it's on, and so the four-stroke would have a fuel screw, and you're listening for like an audible tone or breakup or a sharp that's lean and a plug is rich. So it's definitely a lot harder on the two-strokes, and then on the four-strokes. But the two-strokes are a bit easier. If your air screw doesn't come in around 1 or 1.5 turns, either your pilot's big or it's lean, right? So then you go right to it. You get the air screw where it's about, to where you have some adjustability. And then you can check the main jet a lot easier too, right? Like it just won't rev if it's too rich. Right. And then you kind of go leaner until you get it into the, I call it the timing cut, like where the pipe isn't efficient anymore. Yep. And then you kind of know you're close, right? From there, like the magics, the needles, then those things where you kind of like start moving around. But a four-stroke, there's no like audible timing cut outside of the rev limiter. So you get to the rev limiter, you don't know if it's rich or lean or whatever. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Four strokes, if I didn't have the dyno with an AFR tool, it's it's more of a black art, I'd say, than the two strokes.
And
that felt like for years when the carbureted 4-stroke first came out, there was a lot of things that people just didn't know about how to make them better with the accelerator pump and all the they were always talking about bogs on those bikes,
and a lot of that was accelerator pump. But with a 4-stroke, they made so much more power and were easier to ride than a 2-stroke, basically in 250F or 450. So whenever they run decent, you're like, it's good.
Yeah, must be good.
It's
know how good it can be.
You're right,
but
you don't know that it can be better. And so sometimes we'd have somebody set the carb up for us, just like and we get the carb, we put it back on after somebody set it up. And that accelerator pump, it would be no bog. It'd be instant. They'd wire the what do we call? What do we wire that? The
accelerator pump arm.
Arm.
Yeah.
And man, my buddy Brad would set them up. They were real good, and those things were they were pretty good. And just so you know, like in 09, I was on the last year I had a CRF 250, like 09, and it had the bigger carb. It was all dialed.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom had helped me when this carb was good and it was right. And I'm like, I'm not riding that fuel injected bike. The 2010 CRF 250 came out, and I wasn't because also I wasn't ever going to ride 4-strokes too. When I was gonna buy crates of CR 250s, and
you probably should have.
Right. Well, it'd be worth more, but I wouldn't have rode them. I would just have CR 250s. Yeah. I'd have a bunch of 05, 06 CR 250s that I guess nostalgia wise are cool. But anyway, so I told the story before, but we had the 09. I'd bought this 09 from Honda. I still had it, and it was just such a good bike. I loved it, right? And then I get on this 2010, and it's slow feeling, and we do lap times, and I'm faster on the fuel injected bike by a decent amount.
Yep.
Yeah. And this was like in 2010, and I go, all right, well, that's what I got to do. So
and the thing
so
you
much
have to
easier.
think about is towards the end of the carbureted days, it was kind of taboo to have ECUs or tuning or that, right? But what that was happening towards the end of it was very hard to quantify, but the throttle position sensors on the carburetors, those are there to control ignition, advance, retard, all that stuff. So if I only played with the fuel injected side of that and never did any ignition timing stuff, we wouldn't have any magic that we have out of changing motorcycle feelings and engine brakings and all these things that we do today, because now that TPS is a mandatory requirement for every throttle body.
Right.
So that is primarily telling the ECU where do what you want with the ignition timing, because this is where we're at.
Yeah.
So every RPM, every throttle position is now all logged and scheduled. So I would say that if you wanted to go back and make those carbureted 4-strokes even better, they'd have to have a TPS on it because of the advances in ignition timing and softwares and all those things that we've made into modern motorcycles today.
We don't miss carburetors.
No, because a lot of times they would, let's say if they're like 27 degrees or whatever, they're just, that's it. So like at partial throttle, at open throttle, at closed throttle, at everywhere, it never unless you had a TPS to tell the, carburetor's brain, which is the ECU or CDI back then, what's going on. It was just like one timing curve. Yeah. And that had to be a safe one at wide open, at partial throttle, at whatever. Right. So we could have made those bikes a lot better back then with modern software and that type of stuff.
That's interesting. So you could have been drastically better. So with the carburetor, I felt like when I had that one dialed, I'd come in and I could just have that hit. You'd have that hit where you could blow up a turn or make a quick jump. And then with the fuel injection, it was just so much smoother and easier to ride. And that's what I enjoyed about fuel injection straight off. And that's what Jamie has, one of the main things that he's built his business on is mapping ECUs. Let's talk about mapping real quick before we go back to, we'll pick up back at KTM. But I'm going to talk a little bit about mapping and what that means. For somebody that doesn't understand the word mapping, sometimes I say, hey, I need to jet this when my bike. So let's talk a little bit about mapping on current bikes.
Well, I mean, it all starts with a process. I follow the same process from start to finish on whatever project I'm doing, right? Like, you kind of have to get the bike on the dyno. We use an O2 sensor, which is the same I think it's a Volkswagen O2 sensor we use, right? Like it's an older one. And that hooks up to the dyno, and it's an air-fuel ratio meter. It'll tell you the amount of unburnt fuel that's coming through the exhaust system. And so every project kind of starts there, right? Like I have a system that I go through and I do it the same every time. That way, if something's out of normal, I kind of catch it. Right. So I kind of, but it's the same for every tuner across the country. I'm sure they have their own system, and we learn these things where, that bite us if we don't do it a regimented way, right? And if you do that. So this one of the things I brought is one of the tools. I don't know if it's a tools time.
Yeah, tool.
But so this it's just a pressure gauge, right?
Right.
It's from McMaster-Carr. It's a digital pressure gauge. I buy a lot of stuff from McMaster-Carr. They have really cool stuff. So basically, it comes in PSI, bar, MPa.
Okay.
And then we make a lot of second injector kits and stuff like that. So I had all this stuff laying around. So I just had to source this. I don't know if it was $100. There's way cheaper options to do DIY kits. This is what it is, right? I didn't buy this from anybody. I think I went to Lowe's. I found these fittings that had a barb on it. I used these stepless clamps. So basically,
fuel's coming in.
Yeah. So if you want to do a Japanese bike, you take that out. This little plug we made here.
You could sell these after you show this here.
They're actually on Temu if you want to buy one for like $12.
This whole setup?
Not this setup, but and it's probably pretty China. But there is setups that you can buy. So I don't think I really have an avenue to sell this, but I brought it because it's an educational piece that I want more people to know.
All right.
So in the past 2 weeks, I've had 2 dyno projects that basically, whenever I get them on the dyno, they're really lean. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe this thing's really modified. That's my first thought, right? And then I start adding fuel, and I can't get the air fuel curve down to come down. It's just on the lean side the entire time. So I pull this thing out right away, right? I put it in line. I check the fuel pressure. If the fuel pressure is good, I pull the injector, and we have one of those Motion Pro cleaners I think you've showed before, but I clean it. And then I go again, right? So this process saves so much time.
Because you could be sitting here mapping something you're not ever going to fix because it's got another problem.
Correct. Like I ran into a problem where I was doing a Kawasaki 450 project, and one of them was Pro 6. They wanted tuned, and they wanted Sunoco tuned, right?
I smell something coming out of this right now.
That's Pro 6.
Pro 6. All right.
I fixed the bike yesterday with that Pro 6. But in all reality, what bit me in the butt was I thought I could put Sunoco in this 250 tank because I was developing a KX 250, right? And then I had Pro 6 because it came with the bike in Pro 6 in the 450 tank. And then I go through, I'm trying Pro 6, and then I put this other tank on, and I finished the tune on Pro 6. So now I'm going to tune again, and I'm like, whoa, this fuel's radically different. It needs so much more fuel in the digital side. Yeah. And then I'm like, because I follow my regimented system, I caught myself about a quarter of the way through the tune, unfortunately, where I'm like, there's got to be something
better than halfway
wrong.
through.
This is just going like completely weird, right? So I take it off and I put that Pro 6 tank back on, and boom, power's good, fuel's right, everything's fine, and I'm like, maybe something with the fuel. And then I put this pressure tester on. So in 2025, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say that the KX 250 comes with like 46 PSI, right, and the 450 comes with 52.
Okay.
So that is enough that screwed me completely.
Oh, they're just two different tanks. So the tanks,
the fuel pressure out of the pump.
You would assume, so they're 5 PSI difference in these.
And that is enough to show up, right? So like the pressure going to that injector needs to be constant, and when it opens, it needs to be very accurate.
And you're safe to, you're assuming, and I guess I would too, because we do it all the time, you would assume that 250 tank would work on a 450 and vice versa.
Yeah. Every other brand that I've ever came across has been so. So like the RMZ 250, the fuel spigot may go that way and the 450 that way, but I've traded tanks and I've checked the pressure so I know. Yeah. And so I just kind of assumed, and I made an ass out of you and me whenever I did it. But yeah, so I mean, these things are just handy, and that's why I kind of, as one of the tools you said, to bring some stuff that I wanted to educate people about. Temu, $16, I think, delivered. Very cool. Probably not going to be digital, probably not going to be quality, but if you get a couple checks out of it and you get it to where you can trust it.
How are you plugging into a Japanese? You just put the Japanese one right here.
You basically take this and put it on the throttle body, and then the stock fuel line just goes right here.
Right there.
So it's right in line.
And then for the Japanese.
And then so if you want to go KTM, I kind of came up with this little adapter where we kind of go back here, and then we have this plug.
That's what you're plugging out. Okay, that's what that's.
So now we're ready for KTM Austrian brand stuff. You just put it in line of the fuel pump and you check it, and then you're on your way.
That's awesome. All right, that's very cool. So that's awesome. All right, so and you map stock ECUs, other brands of ECUs, the Vortexes, other brands, and is this as far as, I don't know, you might get in a percentage, but it's a big part of your business, the ECU thing.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about how that works for guys. I know you have a deal where they can get a stock ECU or work up to a Vortex. Tell us about how that works for a guy with let's say a newer bike, a bike that's in the last 2 or 3 years.
So at first the concept was, you know, there was like, if you got a Honda, there was a Honda tool, right?
Right.
And you could go in there if you bought the tool from Honda in the CD and downloaded it. I think you gave me yours. You're like, you're going to do it. And I'm not going to do it. Here you go. And so that kind of got me started. But, you know, you could only get to so many parameters. It'd be like a 0 on the whole graph. And if you put a 1, it's, you know, plus 1% or 1 degree of ignition timing, right, if you're on FI or IG. And then I got into, you know, still mapping those out because there's a lot more people that have $350 rather than $1,149.
Right.
So then I thought, well, I always like to buy if I'm kind of nervous, you know, like whenever I'm purchasing something I don't know a lot about, and I'm like, oh, I want the good one, you know, and then that's trained into our brain that if we spend that money, we're unhappy, that, you know, then we're going to have to buy the good one again.
Right.
And so with that feeling myself, I kind of just thought, well, look, I'll do a trade up program where if you let me tune your stock one, I'm trying really hard, you know, and now we're a lot further than that. We're like taking the information out of the ECU, edit it into an editor, and like we're not using, you know, the stock tools, the base level tools anymore.
Right.
But I mean, that's been a, you know, 20-year ongoing learning spree. But I would say, so I'm like, all right, well, if I bought into, you know, what is ECU mapping? I don't really know what it is. All my buddies are saying it's, you have to do it because they saw it. Jay Clark rode better with it.
Yep.
And then, so you 349, you send your ECU in, we make the changes to it. You know, we don't have a wider variety like we would have Vortex control wise, but you send it into the shop, we reflash it, we send it back to you, and you ride it. You know, if you feel that like, wow, that was such a difference, but I'd like to play with more things.
Right.
So then you send it back into the shop, we reflash it to stock, we sell you a Vortex, we take the money you paid for the stock ECU reflash, and we apply that to the cost of the Vortex. So that fear of I'm gonna waste money is now off the table.
Yeah.
Okay, so why? What is the stock mapping and all the bikes shooting for? If what you're doing in mapping is making it better, I mean, I know it makes it so much better, but what is the stock mapping shooting for? I mean,
that's a good question, and some bikes are better than others. Stock. So what he's getting at is like, because people are going, oh, the Japanese or the Austrians got to know more than you do. So what? Because I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but what do we tell people on this?
Okay, so it's my lifelong study to pull maps out of the ECUs and answer the question that you just asked. And knowing, you know, what I know about factories, right? Like if they have a recall, it costs a lot of money. If they are too aggressive on an intake cam and it creates valve train problems and bikes blow up, it costs a lot of money. Like if the mapping is too radical and it's going to detonate in deep mud, it costs a lot of money, right? So they're going to always take the safe approach and leave me some room on the table to play. Most of the benefit that I get through the consumer is, you know, we free the chassis up, make the bike easier to ride. And that isn't, you know, that's pretty achievable with where the OEMs leave the stuff.
So they're basically doing it just to make the bike, I don't want to say, just safer in terms of overall the bike's going to last kind of long. It's a softer setting essentially.
Well, and it's a safer setting from the approach that like if you run 87 pump gas from Italy in it, it needs to still run, right? Yeah. And so that's why they can only compress the bikes as far as they can. So like a 4-stroke, whenever we started with 4-strokes, Jay, would be 34 horse, right?
That's right.
You know, and there, some of them now we may see over 40 horse on the OEM side. Yeah. So like think about that, right? Like they've creeped their way to compression through technology, through port designs, through camshaft designs, through finger follower, cam setups, to all of these things that like release RPM safely. And that's like a pretty radical increase in performance. And fuel injection and, you know, TPSs have been, you know, paved most of the way to controlling a better production motorcycle. But they can't go and be as close as I can on race team clearances between piston to head, valve to piston, cam timing, you know, because there's like static compression and then running compression and like all of these things, you know, you kind of have to factor in on an OEM level. And so they'll always leave that room on the table for my business to stay in business because they just simply can't sell what our customers are willing to do.
And I guess that also goes back to jetting on all the old, you know, 2-strokes. PC has a whole jetting page that's a pretty good start for guys.
And if you look, they're not richening many of them.
No.
So I mean it's the same approach to warranty recalls. I mean, look, it just costs the company money, and they're in business to make money, not.
And then the next thing is, guys, if you give that kind of answer, then they're like, well, then so my bike's going to be unsafe if I get you to, my 350 XCF. That's one of our bikes that we think just runs so well, like that one right there, so clean, even at 7 to 10,000 feet. It runs so good. So, what are your thoughts on as far as durability? We've never seen any issues, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, I haven't really seen any issues either. But like normally, I can make more power in the dyno than the way we release anything. Right. So I'm putting a layer of safety, just like KTM is.
Yeah.
I have to, and with a Vortex, it's really nice because it comes with 10 maps, right? So if map 1, is going to be a little risky, right? I don't think it is, but let's say if your radiator's plugged, you're at Southwick, the thing's full of sand. It's the worst possible environment. You're heavy load because the bikes are laboring. Like, going into a project like that, you would probably take a couple degrees of ignition advance out of the base map, right? And so that's what we offer. Whenever there's like a -2 degree or -3 degree,
right.
Like whenever I was a race team guy, I would do that before Southwick. And if the rider said the bike was slow, I'm like, I want it to finish.
Right.
Because if we push this thing off, so that's my more like approach to giving those safer options that basically if you do find yourself in a rice hole situation where everything's just plugged, you can still do races and finish motos.
Yeah. Well, and what I was earlier when I was talking about that bike that I'm riding right now, that ECU change alone, just the bike just runs so clean. And on our 350 XCFs in the trails, it just keeps it, and it doesn't want to flame out or stall nearly as easily.
Yeah, that's the magic.
That's it, right? That's what I think of. So, all right, let's circle back just real quick to your story. Now let's go back to when your dyno guy, just unsupervised. There wasn't so who was the leader of the engine area?
So same guy as today, Leighton Rice.
So okay.
So Leighton was in the motor department, and let me tell you, KTM was like the Wild West back then in comparison now. There were no key fobs to get places. There were no, I mean, you could open the back door at most all times and just come right into my area or Leighton's dyno. They've grown a lot as a brand and a company, and really have pressed forward.
That's awesome. All right. So and how long do you stay doing that with KTM?
So I became a mechanic again for the following season, right?
Okay.
I actually built a bike for Kevin Wyndham, which was, being from Louisiana,
that was like
one of the highlights of my life, right?
So like 08?
Yeah. So he was still at Geico or Factory Connection Honda back then.
Yeah.
And he was entertaining, taking the money and coming and doing the deal and whatever. So,
wow.
So that was super cool.
So he rode the bike.
Yeah, and he looked really good on it. Yeah. And Ryan Ragland, the owner of Stasic, was in the R&D department. He was my buddy, so I towed him in anything I could. And he did the suspension for it. It was pretty sweet.
So that Ryan did pretty good with that business.
Yeah, no, turns out he did okay.
Like, who would have guessed? You got a great idea there.
Yeah.
That's good for him, man. That's pretty cool. So
so I ended up.
Who'd you work for that year?
At that time, KTM was not going to go factory racing again.
Oh.
So I'm still in-house KTM. We had MDK KTM.
Oh, that's right.
And so I still worked at factory KTM, but I worked out of the MDK semi for Nick Way.
Okay.
So that starts my relationship with Nick in 2007. And I think he had hit his head pretty hard and was off the bike from that Honda time. Like, he had a rough go in 07.
Okay.
And so he was kind of coming back to still getting headaches and whatever whenever I first started with him. But I still spend a lot of time with him. He's like one of my better friends, and I look after him every chance I get.
That's awesome. So you worked there, and then with that, and where do you go after that?
So I finished out that season with Nick, and at that point, factory racing is just done. It's all MDK, right? They're like kind of 08 bubble had happened. I mean, I was still making $40,000, so it didn't really affect me any, but I guess allegedly a lot of people lost a lot of stuff, but in my adolescence, it didn't harm me any.
Right.
So I actually built a bike for Mike Brown, because if you remember at that time, he was going to do his off-road career, right?
Yeah.
And so I built him a bike, and I'm still working out of my area, and I have like bins full of tie bolts everywhere, right? Because we really went after making that KTM light, and I use none of them, and I put these big heavy bash guards and all this stuff in it, and while I was at Yamaha Troy, I did works race at Lake Havasu. And I remember I'm like, I still went okay. Like I could have raced this race. You know, that was like the first feeling of an event I went to where I thought I could be a part of it. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know if I'm all the way from Louisiana to do off-road. Not that, and I gravitate to off-road now. I love it. Yeah. But I love Supercross at that time and all that. So I networked around and I had a couple meetings with Bobby Hewitt to go to Canada Kawasaki at the time. Yeah. And so I wanted to stay motocross racing if I was this far from home. And I ended up scoring a job there, which led into a whole nother scenario of stuff because Canada Kawasaki, you know, I worked for PJ Larson that year. And then the owner's, you know, kid, Hunter Hewitt, I became his mechanic. And then that turned me into the engine guy for Rockstar Suzuki, which then I took over that whole program and, you know, became crew chief, whatever. So all these sequence of events, like everything in life kind of happens for a reason, but you have to show up for the opportunity. And Rockstar Suzuki, that's where it really started, where you got, then you're mapping real race bikes. Yep. 250, 450. You guys have good results. Yep. Yeah, you get some right out of the bat. We had some good riders. What's his name? Jason Anderson. Yeah, Jason, that guy. Yeah, we had him as a child. Yeah. You know? So like he was still A whenever we got him. And did he win a 250 championship? Yeah. 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 2014. That was actually my last year at the team. Okay. So I started this company in the summer of 2014. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Right in there. That's awesome. So he wins, and those are fuel injected bikes. Yep. Which aren't drastically different than the bike now. No, a lot of technology still right in the heart of that RMZ. Right. But good bikes, and you guys were on it. So that had to get a lot of attention to you. And then you probably had opportunity to stay there or to do other teams. So what was it a tough choice to go, hey, especially telling your wife and everything, I'm going to start my own business and not make much money for a while? Well, it was be all risky. I mean, if I didn't have John Duffy at the time, I definitely couldn't have pulled off. John, you know, he was my lean-in guy whenever I needed development done on anything, right? Like he'd make anything that I could imagine, John could make it, right? And he just did it mainly because he enjoyed the challenge of it, right? Yeah, I mean, he did our triple clamps for the team, but that turned into so many other things that I roped him into. Right. John is the owner of Applied Racing, and he passed away just a couple years ago. But yeah. And he had such a well, I don't think that's going to work, but if you really have to do it, I'll do it for you. You know, and he would fight me on all these things or whatever, but ultimately I could coerce him into doing these things. So we made a lot of cool parts together, and he kind of became my business north of a dad. He goes, listen, I'd like to give you $150,000, you work for me and I'll make a ton of money, or I'll help you because I don't have the money to give you and you can do it on your own. And so he threatened me, and the IRS was going to, take me to jail and all of these things, and just coerce these strong business things into me, right? And so I definitely felt more confident that I had John. And whenever I got my first dyno, I put it out at Duffy Land. Yep. So I build the bikes in my garage. I have a garage similar, to most 3-car garages, and I put good lights in it. And and it was Nick Way that was a customer that let me do it. It was Brian Deegan that was a customer that let me do it. And so I kind of had a shored up amount of work that I needed to start a business. So I definitely would say I had an opportunity to work at Pro Circuit or start my business. And Brian's like, look, I can't pay you all you're worth, but I'll give you enough money that you can pay your bills if you work for me. This much, because I need you to work for me. Yeah. And I said, all right. Let's do it. And how many years did you work for Brian? Where even when you moved from your house to your own shop, you were still doing stuff with Brian. How many years did that go on? So we had Hayden from 50s, because we won championships on KTM 50s, to Super Minis. That's awesome. And to the day that he signed his Star deal. And I still look after the Deegans, in any chance I get. Bri comes to town, I'll give him my bike or prep his bikes or whatever, just to make his life easy, because he's helped me along with mine. Yeah. So that was 5 or 7 years or something, right? Of racing. Yeah. I think I'm the longest running Deegan employee. That's awesome. That's awesome. So isn't it? How cool is it to see what he's done now? Well, it's unreal, and I'll admit that I was in that rut with him for a long time, and I knew Hayden was going to be good, right? But you can't really tell whenever you're working with a child how good they're going to be, because some of those kid phenoms just don't make it, right? you know, and I never had that feeling about Hayden because Brian is one of the most motivated individuals I've ever sat next to for a length amount of time. And like, I could remember, you know, Hudson, whenever he was little, he was pretty bad, right? Like he would just mess stuff up and he'd be messing stuff up and Brian would take his phone out and just kind of start filming it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like the kid's being like bad.
Right.
And then he'd post it later and like all these comments would pour in and people just loved it. And I'm like, this dude has a vision for things.
Right.
And the way he sees them is the way that people want to see things. And he just knows how to connect that and capture these moments and share them. And, you know, he's put his family on the big screen, right? But he's
a little bit more than we'd want to, right? More than I'd want.
I mean, you're exposed, you know, like if there's any bad things happening, like you're in the tabloids, right? So I definitely have a lot of respect for them as well.
Oh, it's cool what they've accomplished. What Hayden's accomplished as far as, you know, winning. He's got 2 outdoors and
2 of the SMX,
and I think he's got 5 total now.
Yeah,
so
5
he's got
total,
one more something else.
He's got Supercross.
Yep.
It's awesome.
1 Supercross. Yep. 2
so
outdoor
in the
and 2
beginning,
SMX.
this is a fun fact, right? They called him Danger Boy.
Yeah.
Because he was colicky.
Yeah.
And he was just a dickhead of a baby. And so like there would be times where the Deegans would really try to like hide his personality from the KTM group because they didn't want to they wanted him to mature and they didn't want to have people have like he's a brat or whatever. And so they would like shelter him from those things, right? And so like as he's gotten older, it's pretty cool to see the man he's become and obviously a dominant force, dude.
Was he the youngest kid ever to do a backflip too? I mean,
he was
I don't think he's actually the youngest. I think that he's probably the most popular.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Because as soon as that thing aired, they came out of the woodwork hating on like, oh, my kid was 2 years old out of the womb and he did a backflip, you know, like.
Well, the accident doesn't count.
Yeah.
I've done a backflip too.
Yeah. Hey, actually, funny story. I was talking to Ross Maeda this week. He's like another business dad of mine, right? Like,
cool.
I really respect him. But he was telling me this story at the U.S. Open or something where this guy did a backflip while they were racing and landed on another guy's bike.
It was at the Las Vegas Supercross.
It was at the Supercross,
and it was Damon Huffman and Shane Trittler.
Triller.
And
he did a
mid '90s.
Yeah, there was you jump over like this concession stand and you'd go around the back of it and you'd jump back over it. And like he went over the bars and Trittler landed on the back of Damon Huffman's
You need to
bike.
put a link in this show to that video.
Dude, no one really has
There
much.
is a video, but it's from the stands and it's really basically only shows him stopping because he stopped at the bottom.
Let him off.
And he goes, "Get off my bike." And so there's only kind of that end where he's like, "Get off."
And the funny part was Trittler was a privateer Suzuki guy.
Okay.
And Huffman was a factory Suzuki guy. And they both lived in the same general area.
Yeah,
Castaic.
Yeah, that's right.
So they both lived up there. So it was just kind of funny. And I think they even rode together. And
he put rideshare on the back of his pants.
Yeah, rideshare.
Yeah.
Hey, he could have took that a little bit earlier and maybe made a lot of money.
Right. Yeah.
It was before the whole movement. So, but yeah. So anyway, it's pretty cool to see. I think what Deegan's done, and it's cool that you were part of that in those early years. It's got to be pretty cool to see. So, and you've been involved in a ton of guys, and even recently. I mean, let's talk a little about like with the HEP team, which is a Suzuki team, which you've helped. You know, Roxon's won 450 Supercross races with your mapping, for instance. Like, how does that work?
Well, I mean, we do the development, we do the engine package, we kind of like proof concept everything. Do the testing. I mean, there's a lot on our shoulders, but like luckily that platform. So my first win that I got at building engines was with Davey Millsaps in 2013 when he came out and won. I don't know his total, and he'd slam me right now if I said the wrong number.
Yeah.
I know he won San Diego. I know he won Anaheim. I'm not sure all the rest of them that we won together. Yeah. But that year, it's like it was crazy, man, because like we had a cow path trail to the podium. You know. Yeah. I'd be high-fiving, you know, Ian and Roger and whatever, and we're all headed, you know, it was like Villapoto, Dungy, Millsaps.
2013, right?
Yeah. And then like it was cool too because then we'd hit the podium with Anderson and Wharton and those guys later, like earlier in the 250 class, right? So it was like kind of go to the first turn and then, you know, go to the podium and then back to the first turn and the podium and like, so it was kind of like it was a miracle year for adolescence and growth and
Yeah.
just having some success. But whenever Roxon won Indianapolis, that was my official first win as a private engine builder.
Right. Which, just so you know, I don't know how many. I don't know how, we don't get for sure, but we could go back way back in the 70s or 80s. Okay, there is.
XPR's got one with Brayton at Daytona.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep.
So it's very limited then.
Very, very limited crew.
Okay. So very small amount of guys that have, because just so you know, if everybody knows, is most of these engines, they're all done by, factory Honda, factory Kawasaki. There's no one else tuning those ECUs on these bikes. So
Are some of these bikes, because I know KTMs they build their motors, or their race engines are built in Austria, right? Or their port timing is done in Austria?
I'd say there's a lot of development from Austria, but the American group have some control. They're not just,
And what about the
robots
Japanese
assembling.
brands? Are they also like, they do a little bit there and then they're doing most of the timing and stuff here? Or?
I mean, I would say back in the two-stroke days, it was a little bit more predominant. Like, you'd bring the factory stuff over and it was so much better.
Yeah.
But nowadays, with the amount of people that own CNC machines and capabilities and know-hows, American Honda is doing a lot of stuff themselves, or through local vendors. At Kawasaki, same thing, through local vendors. Like, we all kind of pull from the same pools of quality vendors, because there's not just a ton of them, a ton of options, right? So yeah, I wouldn't say that really many of the factory teams are handcuffed to just robotly assembling what comes over. A lot of the technology that comes over, maybe in the newer bikes, maybe cooler talk, like in Austria, right? Like they had a Moto GP team, right? So they hired some really crazy engineers that have been accomplished, and a lot of that road race technology and just making horsepower out of smaller bores could trickle to the motocross side, right? So a lot of those things could come over, like in porting or whatever, but every team here, I believe, will have some aspect of modifying whatever it is, and not just trusting it can't be any better.
On a side note, have you seen like the Ducati, and what do you think about their valve setup and their capabilities of that motor?
I have not seen internally. Kind of gives me some anxiety initially, but I haven't seen or know anything about it. So it seems like a lot going on to me, but I don't know a lot about it. So I could just be a dumb redneck who's, not educated on that topic.
you don't know them Italians.
Yeah.
in bikes.
That-
I mean, I know Italian
Italian
engineering is a special, right?
Yeah.
So
But it'll be exciting to get one on the dyno and just kind of see what it does.
I
And
mean, like everything else, you just got to start somewhere and see how it goes.
it'll be fun. It'll be fun to get it on there. Somebody said they saw one at the track already.
Yeah, I
Well,
didn't hear
JBI
that.
has one.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they bought one. They're valving it. They're going for it. That's the only one that I know of.
It's a suspension guy right by his
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
So he's already got one and messing with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
He says
want
it
one,
doesn't
but I was
feel
going to wait
no-
till year 2.
He says it doesn't feel like 65 horse like they're claiming.
63, I think, is what they call it.
But whatever it is, he's like, it feels like a good KTM.
Yeah.
So whether he's just not riding it in that area, because I want to say the rumblings I've heard, they could go 16, 18,000 RPM.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Well, there's no valve float, right? Because it's open and closed by mechanism instead of just allowing the spring to open it.
Yeah. Again, not the
close
specialist,
it, I
but
mean.
like
Yeah.
I pay attention to stuff, and that's kind of
Yeah.
thought process.
All right. So you start this business, and I've been luckily I met you when you were at Suzuki.
Yep.
When you went and there, and then I'd come over to your house shop, let's
Yep.
say, right? And so to see it grow, and you kind of went wide open straight away. Like, it didn't take long for you to go from 1 unit to 5 or whatever, like just in more, and you just seem to keep biting off more and more from race teams, there with, Bar X and all the different teams you've helped with club and going to Florida and all that. So it seems like you just keep wanting to, like, you can't stop at the buffet, like me and Donnie.
I'm the older I get, I'm becoming more aware. And I know it's my own fault, right? But I just love opportunity, right? So whenever
Right.
it comes my way, it's like really difficult for me
To say no.
And the older I get, I'm trying to be better on the front side of the business decisions that I put the company in. Whenever I quit racing in 2014, like, we won a West Coast championship with Jason Anderson, like we talked earlier. And I kind of died inside because I wasn't going to be on the road anymore. And I wasn't going to. So it took me a while to get back into like having access to high level athletes, right?
Right.
And so I'm just addicted to like, I get a guy that's been like, he was factory from the moment he rode Cobras all the way to whatever factory he signed with. And then we go testing and I'm doing these things and asking him this feedback and whatever. And he's like, we've never tried any of that before. Like I hear that all the time. And I think I'm just addicted to hearing that and like the want to just make stuff better. It's like, I could put myself into some not so great financial situations because of excitement. And I hope I never lose that, but like I hope I get better at business.
No, just a couple months ago, we did that video where he put the data acquisition on that CRF 250, and you could see exactly where we're full throttle and zero throttle on the track. And I think the lap time was like 2:30, and I was zero throttle for 30 seconds of the 2:30. So like the fifth of the lap or whatever. Or I don't know what that would be, but a lot. You know, you're way more zero throttle than you would ever guess, you know, let alone full throttle. I don't even know what that number was, but it was just, he just really enjoyed just geeking out on all these numbers. I just wanted to ride and do it. So it's pretty fun.
Even as much as I do it, like the smartest person that in the room that thinks he's the smartest person is usually not the smartest person, right? Like I don't think I'm the smartest person. So like I just constantly want to learn. And so that passion, that is what leads me down all these new things. And then, you know.
No, I for sure have gotten that feeling from you, because I can tell when you're excited to learn something. If you hear about something and then you're all excited to learn more about it and to figure it out. And we want to do that. And so that part's really cool. So, but I'm guessing your wife and kids probably liked that you weren't on the road full time.
Yeah, I have a great relationship with all three of them. I have a son who's 12 now, and
he enjoys Moto.
The dude like lives for it. Yeah. Right. He's not the fastest guy, but he's definitely the most motivated, loves to ride guy.
He's plenty fast. I will say this. We have a distorted view of things. If you're not a top 5 Lorettas in your age group deal, you're not fast. It's like, no, that's not the case. He's plenty fast. Like in Southern, and in Southern California, that grading curve, if he lived in Louisiana.
Oh, he'd be ripping.
He'd be one of the fastest kids around for miles and miles, showing up to local races. There'd be no one hardly to challenge him. Yeah. So our grading curve is very difficult.
Yeah,
so
we have a concentration on both coasts, right? Florida and here, it's like we get the fastest guys.
Yeah. And so that part's a little different. So he's plenty fast. And that's, and also when you're on those smaller bikes, it's all the age group stuff. It's really tough because it's just fast. Like for us, we can funnel out into novice and intermediate classes.
No, it's brutal.
Yeah. Like it's tough to be, if you're not one of the top 5, up and coming amateur kids in that age group, it's like, you're not that fast. It's like, man, I'm one of the fastest 50 kids in whatever age group, right? Yeah. If you're one of the fastest 50 in the country, because if you were one of the best top 50 10-year-old baseball players in the country, that's a thing. That'd be cool. Like means you're really good. But in Moto, that doesn't mean anything, unfortunately.
No.
But he enjoys it, which is cool.
No, he overly loves it. And that's like, it's been such a breath of fresh air for me, because like if I show up to the track with like a black coat full of, shiny things, trying to sell stuff, like I'm a weirdo, right? But if you see me at the track and I'm with my kid and we're working on stuff or whatever, I look a lot more approachable, and I am even, but I'm not there like peddling, right? So like I've created a lot of new relationships through just being current, being around, doing racing with him. So it's that part of it's been really cool. Like I've gotten to make different, relationships because of.
How did you come up with your name?
A lot of wine.
Okay.
My wife and I sat in our living room with a bottle of wine, and we just kind of threw it back and forth. And I said, look, I don't want to research anything on the internet tonight. I just want to concept names. And like a lot of them were stupid, like so stupid. I'd like to think it was the wine, but no. So that was it. Like in today's age, I think if I had to like come up with another business name right now, I would kind of probably do the same thing, like a brainstorming session, write a bunch down, the next day go to the internet to see what's taken, what's not. Because you kind of can't like press forward with a good business name if you can't own the domain to connect people to your brand.
That's for sure.
And so in that order, I would do it again. I would like think about cool things, think about a play on words, think about, like my wife at one point wanted to do like weight loss and stuff like that, like coaching. And so like Turn New Leaf was the business I came up with for her, right? Like, it's like turn a new leaf, like kind of a play on words or something like that. And so I bought the domain for a couple of years. We never did anything with it. I just let it go. But
anyway, you came up with a great name, and then the I is a first, is a number one, and so it has a first always in his logo like that. So I always thought that was cool.
Yeah,
so we did that for about a year. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then Hoodie comes, Hoodie's a character.
He noticed it.
Yeah, he comes over and he goes, "Oh, first." And then like he totally pointed it out.
I think you told me that.
The one was always red because black and red is aggressive, like Italian.
Right.
Like
so then you added the
like
ST.
Red. So then the ST turned red whenever Hoodie noticed it.
That's rad. Just something so small. So
yeah,
you shouldn't give him credit like that. He's going to want something now.
He probably
All right. So, but I think it's cool. And then when you abbreviate it to TD, I grew up it was all football. So I just think the TD is an awesome, abbreviation. So,
well,
it's a perfect
look,
name.
it's not like I'm paving the path like a lot of our fathers of moto, like Pro Circuit, right?
Right.
Like he was going to call it PCP Motorsports.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
And so like, they're like, Mitch, you can't do that,
Right.
And he's like, Pro Circuit products, you turn it like
Right.
into that. But then he also like, he had a globe,
Yeah.
like, which was like something, so look, I kind of like, man, I need something like that too. So the TD icon was Twist Development Racing, which is way too much.
Right.
So TD Dash Racing. So like trying to build a logo, trying to build a brand, trying to build something, like I don't sell anything colored or anodized or,
Right.
like that. Like if you get a quote from us, I only want our clear message of what we're providing is horsepower.
Right.
So
But honest integrity,
power. Yep.
Yeah. And that's
I like that though, man. We're providing horsepower.
right.
Well, and it's like we do Cerakoting, we do that type of stuff,
Yeah.
and we do make the engines look beautiful upon request. But if I only have an X amount of dollars to spend toward a project, I'm not gonna like bling it out so it looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend it in the money that creates a good foundation to
Yeah.
not break, and ultimately you feel some ponies between your legs whenever you get it back.
Now, so your kids are, your daughter's real active in her stuff, like cheer stuff, and your boy, you went to Loretta's this year with your son,
Yeah.
and
So,
you both raced and had fun.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I can't beat that, right? And you've been going to Mammoth for how many years?
I've been
straight?
since I started 10
10 years. You've been going
ago.
straight. Okay.
Yep. Special place in my heart.
Yeah, I was trying to find those photos because I was trying to get some photos for the show, and I was trying to find those. I can't find those photos. We took you guys on a hike 6-7 years ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, typical Jay Clark status. He had canoes stashed in Mammoth.
Kayaks.
Kayaks.
Yeah.
Everywhere he goes, he has something sorted and figured out.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Oh, I got kayaks," and I'm like, "Jay, how do you have kayaks?"
Yeah, we just leave them up there. So we love going. We've been going up there. My Sarah and I went. The first year I worked for Weisco, so it was 93. I've been going up since, so we go up every year, and so we just love it up there. So so like when somebody's around, we can go show them, because there's so many people that go up there and never even see some of those hikes. They just go up and see Moto, and they go, "Oh, it's so pretty here." They see some snow in the mountains, and then they're all wiped out from the race days, right? And they don't ever go see anything. They might go see the waterfall at the thing and at the lakes, and that's about it.
Well, and that brings up a good point. Like whenever I was a race team mechanic, I always prioritized, like when we raced Detroit, I would like rent a cab. At the time it wasn't Uber. I'd rent a cab and I'd go to the Ford Museum.
That's cool.
And I'd just like want to live something else, like just to fly into the middle of nowhere and sit in a cow field and watch some guys race motorcycles. Like, I don't know. I just thought there was a little bit more than that.
Yep.
And like you have to put yourself out there to experience those adventures and kind of make that worth doing.
That's awesome. All right. Well, it's really cool what you've built. Let's talk about some more tools. You brought a few more tools.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff I brought, I thought kind of troubleshooting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're at home and you're watching the show, you want to learn a little bit. I thought, hey, let's talk through the talk path. So kind of going through the first one, which of maybe if you don't know, is a leak down tester.
Right.
Okay.
That's a nice
So what it does is air comes in through this and there's a pressure gauge, and then this will show the leakage down from the motor. So this is essentially how we
for
look.
4 strokes.
Yeah. Well, 4 strokes, and you don't really use it for 2 strokes, but that goes.
Hey, you
right
didn't
in.
buy a cheap one of those.
Yeah. And so, so that's how we kind of like will tell a customer that we're looking inside the engine without opening it.
Right.
Right. So you pull let's say the bike is not running. We'll start the process, right? I always check spark first. So that pulls a spark plug out. You put it into anything that'll ground, and it should have some color of a spark, right? So if that's not sparking, you're done. Move on to figure that out. And if it is sparking, then your spark plug is out. So my next system is I put the leak down tester in there, and I want to put pressure to the engine and see if the engine's sealed. Okay. So anytime I've skipped that process, it's come back to haunt me. And then after that, then I'm going to go to the fuel pressure tester.
Yep.
And, usually whenever if you have engine pressure and if you have fuel pressure and if you have spark, all of these things should get a motorcycle somewhat starting or sounding like it's going to start and run.
Right.
So that's like the process that I respect. I train all my staff to do it. And whenever they don't do it in that order, we always end up like wishing we would have just followed the process.
Yeah. And I have gotten guys they write me and they tell me how much compression their 4-stroke has, and that they don't, they're wondering if they need to rebuild it.
So we actually use a compression tester on 4-strokes.
Yeah. And what do you, and are you getting the accurate?
Yeah. So like the Yamaha 250F is one of the hardest starting bikes when you modify cams and do these things.
Right.
And even in stock trim, like they struggle a little bit. So we do a compression tester on it with a guaranteed always charged battery. And I made this like little jumper system. Then we turn the motor over for cranking compression.
Right.
So, we can't tell like how much pressure a cylinder has because there's a decomp lever in the exhaust that's like releasing that pressure. But whenever it's operating at full revolution turning speed of a 12-volt battery, there's like a number you want to respect, right? So like on a Yamaha 250F, it'll be like 105 to 120. Right. In that range, the bike's going to start. Okay. So we do that at the shop too. So it sounds funny. It sounds like something you never do because you have a decomp. But on electric start projects, sometimes there's like a level of, is the decomp opening and closing at the right sequence?
Yeah. Very cool. And as far as leak down, what do you like to see for guys that do get serious about checking their own motors?
And so, 4 to 5%, under 4 or 5% is like, that's awesome, right? And then, anytime that you get, 40, 50, 60%, like normally you can put your ear to the intake, and you can hear if it's coming through the intake valves or exhaust valves, or if it's coming over the overflow, it's going past the rings and it's, going past, into the...
Yeah, and hey, tell guys where they would plug off a motor when they're plugging this in. Where they're plugging this in.
Yeah, so this is going to go right into the spark plug hole.
Yep.
But you do have to get a really long breaker bar, I suggest, to hold the crankshaft. And then the thing, like if it's a Honda project, you might be at risk to the motor operating in that direction and loosening that side.
Oh.
So
loosening the nut.
Yeah. So like normally the flywheel, the motor rotates in that, direction. So if you hold the flywheel side, it's going to rotate towards tightening the nut. Okay. But I have had it the Honda backwards, on the other side of the motor and loosen that. So
okay. So little things you learn that can come up. Speaking of spark, I've come up with a rule. So I have guys come over or they call me or whatever. My bike has no spark, and I have them hold the spark plug at the head. I go,
you would.
Okay, but they say it has no spark. I go, you sure? Yeah. And I go, let me kick it. And they won't let me kick it. Yeah. But I make them. I go, if you say it has no spark, you're going to hold that thing on there. And most of the time it goes. So I have this rule. If it only goes to your wrist, it's not strong enough. If it goes to your shoulder, it's strong enough.
It only takes 1/10 of an amp to kill you.
No, you can get sparked by a dirt bike. It's fine because I've done it plenty.
Yeah, it stings.
Yeah, if it goes to your shoulder, it's good.
There's no load there on them. I'm just saying.
We're not grading colors anymore. We're grading
how far it goes. How much pain is up the arm?
How far it goes is how strong the spark is. So, yes. All right. So, what's our next tools?
Okay. So we talked a lot. Yeah. We talked a lot about...
I have that same one.
The TPS earlier. Again, I don't make this tool. I have no benefit to bring it. Yeah. But again, I'm trying to educate someone who may be having a problem. So what a throttle position sensor is, it is 5 volts, like a good clean 5 volts, right? Yeah. It's not 6, it's not whatever. It's 100% 5 volts going in. And then there's ground, right? Like electrical circuits have to have power and ground. And then in between that is a measured resistance. Okay, so what a rheostat is it starts with a low voltage, and then as you open it, it releases more voltage along the way. Okay. So basically, what I'm saying is there's a circuit there to be respected, which is the 5 and the ground, And then there's the measured resistance. So what the ECU sees is only the measured resistance. So that one wire that goes back to the electrical control unit, the ECU, it's operating everything. So like the ECU will take a 0.500, let's say that's kind of common for most closed TPS sensors, right? And then as it opens up, it may be 3.5, okay? So it scales 0.5 of a volt to 3.5 volts, and then it creates a graph that goes between 0 and 100, and it operates linearly everywhere in between. So that's the most important part of the 4-stroke application, is because the engine needs to know where the throttle position is at all times, because if there's a throttle enrichment or something happens or whatever. There's other backup sensors like the manifold absolute pressure sensor, which can run a bike, but it would run it more like sluggish and not like as accurate, right? So knowing what your TPS is, I think, is important, because if you're going to ride, like sometimes things can happen. You're pressure washing, you're using soaps, you're doing all kind of stuff,
or taking shocks off. Guys, I notice if they they can be rough with the and bump things, and that's when it can seem to get off.
Yeah.
But I also, since this has come up a lot, I get a lot of guys asking me about it, and I'm like, have you messed with anything? Have you done anything? And we don't see a lot of TPS on a lot of these newer bikes. We don't see too many. Are you seeing a lot of problems with guys with their TPS not set correctly?
Well, I would say that, as important it is to the motorcycle running, we do end up doing a lot of, I wouldn't say warranty work, but a lot of coaching of customers.
Yeah.
So whenever a map project, like whenever an ECU leaves the shop, I didn't just guess at the settings. I've had them on a track. I've track tested them, of whatever. And so, but if this guy, has done something or whatever to his motorcycle, or a gal, let's be politically correct, it won't come out in conversation. You're going to have to like pull that out of them, right? And they're like, well, it's brand new, and they're just like fighting you along the way. And I'm like, buddy, look, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to ask these questions so I can get to the solution so you can ride your motorcycle.
Yeah.
We're on the same team. And so sometimes like having tools like this, or having pressure gauges, or having whatever, is just what helps us get to the finish line. Like in rare cases, it hasn't been that many times, but I'll ship a computer and a Vortex program and everything to these people's house.
Wow.
I'll Wi-Fi into it, and I'll expose that there's something wrong with their motorcycle. But they were like about to Yelp review us bad because this, that, and the other. And it's like, so sometimes there's like things that happen above and beyond. So these are kind of like some of my, I'm going to fix some problems tools that I decided to bring.
Yeah.
Because that's, not always it. Like if your TPS is bouncing and you have, it's got some sort of a problem with the inside of it, or a grain of sand or whatever, Now,
one advantage on the Vortex is you can set it without having to use a tool. As far as resetting the TPS when you put the ECU on. Yeah,
that's a huge advantage, but it doesn't always show up that if the TPS is bad or off scale.
Right.
It like, let's say if the TPS is unplugged, it might be having 5 volts somehow to the ECU, so it's stuck wide open. It's in a flood clear mode, so it can't start. So there's just all of these, tools and methods and whatever that we try to do to help troubleshoot the end consumer.
Very cool.
I mean, stuff that didn't exist 15 years ago.
Yeah, so like I made a TPS tool a long time ago, and basically what it is, it's a 9-volt battery, because you have to have more than 5,
right.
And then you can use a step down to 5. But if it gets close to 7, it should shut off, because you need a true 5 going into that sensor, right? And so I kind of made these not nice like this is kit, right? And I'm like, thought about selling them or whatever, but then I never took it to the extent that these people did. And honestly, for what they sell it for is kind of a bargain.
You're right, because it's not. it doesn't cost that much to buy one.
Yeah, they're safe in that market. I'm not going after it.
Right.
But and then they have the cool pigtails and leads. So when you buy a tool, it kind of fits most all ECU types. So, but anyway, in a nutshell, that's what a TPS is. It's 5 good clean bolts. And if your 9-volt battery gets close to 7 or 6, it should shut off, because it's no longer. So if you put 6 volts to it, and that's dropping, the tool in this thing that's dropping it down to a clean 5 may drop it to 4. So the pass-through voltage of the rheostat isn't going to work.
Yeah, and that's probably what's nice to have a tool like this. This is the one I have. I think they have these on Amazon.
They're super basic, easy.
We got your cool. Grab your pliers right there.
Oh, okay. So excuse my French, but these are my bastard pliers. Okay, they're snap-on, and I can't tell you how many stripped bolts I've gotten out with these pliers. Part number 5ACP. So they're just little tiny pliers, but you couldn't imagine the grip that you can get onto a strip screw, or something like that.
Because it's got a small. They're not very. Most pliers you grab are further apart.
Right, and normally by the time I have to get involved, if there's a strip screw, it's like I'm bringing those with me, and we normally, kind of solve whatever we need to solve, like working on old stuff that you can't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Very cool.
Yeah, so Jay challenged me to bring some of my favorite stuff with me, and so I thought like an educational piece, and I am like a fanatic about pliers.
Yeah.
Just because they get you out of these situations when you get deep into it.
I like those.
I have a life of collecting pliers.
Yeah, now I'll have one in a week or so.
Yeah.
And if you do want to see more on the mapping, our video on the CRF 250 mapping is pretty good, and that's just a couple months old. I'll try to get Spencer to put a link to it in this show, and you can kind of see. He shows on the computer. You can kind of see a little bit of that firsthand on the computer. What do we got here?
So this is the unit.
Oh, yeah.
My unit of preference, right? It's the AIM X-Log. It has a USB-C memory stick that goes in here, or you can plug directly into it. It has Wi-Fi. So basically, I don't have to plug into it. As long as the battery's charged and turned on, I can Wi-Fi into it. So the two CAN lines that come out of it, one goes to the exhaust probe, and the other one goes to the ECU stream. And then if you put a splitter on it, you can do suspension analysis, you can do whatever. So this has like a retarded satellite system in it. So we did this test with Ken Roxon where the only place we could put it was underneath his seat, underneath a metal bracket, because we had a bunch of batteries and other stuff going on. And it picked up 11 satellites from Corona. Upside down underneath the seat, like put it in its worst possible. Like I had 3 AIM engineers there with me that day, and they're like, shouldn't be working, but awesome it is, type of thing.
Yeah.
So typically we'll mount this to the front number plate so it's visual, and then the connectors are some crazy dust water submergible resistant thing, but I still like to mount them down so water doesn't collect in them.
Yep.
And it's been a pretty cool tool for just getting past any. I was wide open into the. No, you weren't. You were 65% throttle.
Yeah. So when you finalize like this fall and going into Supercross, you'll be finishing up some of the teams you work with, and so some of these teams you'll put some of this on for your track days to test.
I bring it every time I track test. And I find the riders calm down about it. Like they love it.
Okay.
Because I'm not wasting their day. I get right to the area that they're talking about.
Right.
Some of the data systems have like a button the rider has to press or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, in this section I had this problem. But this one you just go live to it and, can trace back and kind of see what event happened that maybe triggered something that, wasn't desirable or.
That's so cool. And that video is really cool. What we were able to do in just a short period of time on a small scale of what he would do for the full level pro. So to summarize a little bit here, for those that don't know, Jamie does build high-end. It's not just the mapping and stuff, but high-end engines too. So in the high-end engines, what's the like if somebody's going to build a, whether it's, I guess it's not just 250s, because you build gnarly ATV 450 engines or dirt track 500 engines or whatever, anything that's making huge power. Most 450 motocross vet guys are looking more for the mapping, right? But then you got the the pro guys that you're dealing with that want race stuff, and then you got the 250 guys all need plenty of power. So real quickly, what are some of the main things you're doing to these engines?
Every engine platform starts with an ECU, right? So we get it on the dyno, and that usually exposes where the power's good or not good. Like right now, I have a 26 KX450 on the dyno, and I've got stuff everywhere. I've been collecting, and I'm finally like just blowing through it all at once. Is kind of my style. Like I concept, I could collect, and then I want to just go through it as quick as I can in the same day. To keep everything relevant, and I kind of track my progress, and then I'll reset the next day and then do whatever I was questioned about or whatever. But that bike in stock trim with the stock muffler, like the muffler advantage alone is pretty crazy. So I may think that the motor needs this or whatever, but when you put an aftermarket exhaust system on it, it really like fills in. So I believe, that bike is a much better bike than people give it credit. And this Prado thing has been a little tough on them and whatever. But I'm going to build the fastest KX450 that I know how to build. And I don't know how fast that'll be compared to theirs. Yeah. And I'm kind of taking it on as a passion project because like where there's like they built a story for me to build a fast one and sell some stuff, right?
Right, I agree.
So I don't know I wish I was a little bit more business on, like less passionate and more on the numbers of units sold and only work on those. But also too, like I helped Phil Nicoletti all summer in Canada. We got a championship up there. And so I kind of like on the way home from Loretta's, I'm like, man, I just want to build this KX450. Like, what if Phil races it again next year? You know, whenever he called me, I didn't have a lot for it. So we just did the tuning for it. And so now I'm like, I want to build a fast one. So like, I'll waste a lot of money and time and energy, but it's like, these are the things I like to do. So if you build it, they will come. If they don't come, I'm still building it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's going to be a home run, because I think there's a lot of vet guys that ride that bike that are going to be looking for a little bit more oomph, and whether it's just the ECU or piston, compression, you know, whatever they're going to look for.
Well, so far I haven't got into the engine, right? I've done everything around it. Like I'm playing in the airbox. I put a pipe on it. I did a vortex on it. Vented the airbox a lot. Like there was a substantial gain there.
Is there a chance you make an airbox?
There's not a chance I can afford to make an airbox, but there's a chance I test a lot of other ones to see what will work. And then if I have a level of customer that's willing to
pay for it,
there's always a chance for that. But I kind of have to act my wage a little bit in some things, and make sure that the stuff that I'm doing, but the benefit of working on all brands is like, I have Yamaha airboxes laying around. I have Honda airbox laying around. So like, I can do proof of concept a lot faster than most.
Yeah.
Because of like my collection of airbox.
Now, one thing people might not realize is that there are factory race teams that don't run the stock airbox. You know, might not be common knowledge to a lot of people. So, and with 3D printing and capabilities nowadays to get things made, they're able to test different shapes and still yet have the stock plastic out here. In the old days, that would be a giveaway, as you were like, oh, they have to run this, you know, because they want them to still run the 2025 plastic. You know, it's got to look like a 2025.
Yeah, that's what sells.
Right. So now, if the airbox internally is different, no one's going to be the wiser. But there are teams that do that stuff.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So anyway.
So quick and dirty, right? Like I'll do a bunch of airbox quick and dirty stuff, like
that's
stuff
awesome.
I've collected
to get an
years.
idea of what it does.
Yeah, because we've done flat track, we've done off-road trucks, we've done like all these different applications where I haven't been bound by a frame or an exhaust system that has to fit a bike, right? So that knowledge base of like, you don't know what's going to work till you try it scenario is you know, kind of like still sticks with me today. You know, you kind of keep going and developing and never stop.
All right. It's a lot of stuff going on. And you guys work on 50s, 65s,
No, we
85s?
don't work on 50s.
No 50s.
In 2018, I went 111 at Loretta's and I dropped the mic. The tinier the human, the bigger the drama.
Yes.
And I cut it off at 65s.
What'd you think of there being big bore PW 50s?
I mean, I don't know. I've built engines for Jessica Patterson, right?
Yeah,
So she's dear to my heart, and Eddie Ray's just a lovely human.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna go no comment on that scenario, just to, I mean, because there's like so many ways that you could look at that situation.
Oh yeah,
that's fair or really unfair for others, and I don't know that my opinion is going to make a difference. So
he did. There was an interview with he did go on Pulp, and so I listened to that. Have you listened to that yet?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
and then like if I say sorry, but I mean I didn't mean I was sorry. Right. So that was a little different for Eddie and his person, you know.
Yeah.
But also he's in the thick and middle of it where it doesn't affect my life.
Right.
So I can understand he's probably looking at it with a different set of eyeballs than I would see. So like I try to look at every sides of the fence, whether it be red, blue, or green, or you know whatever. Like I want to understand everybody's thought process.
All right. So 65s up to 500s,
1190s, like.
Dirt trackers. Dirt trackers.
I try to stick the best I can to the low hanging fruit. Yeah. Which is dirt bikes.
You got the quad champion, for a few years.
That guy kills it. He's so good.
Hetrick?
Joel Hetrick.
Hetrick. And a Yamaha motor.
Yep.
And so it's just, they probably want a lot more power than a guy in a regular 450 would want, right?
I mean, he'd want some power, and he does have some power, right? Like that team does a really good job. They work with DASA, and I'm really close to Dan Blamey from DASA. So he naturally invited me into the program. So they handle the engine aspects, and I just do the electronic tuning and kind of just be there for the team if they have any general direction or whatever. So
that's awesome.
I'd say guidance counselor is kind of one of my biggest roles. You know, I kind of fall into, right? Like these riders that fall off the top at some point, I end up having a conversation with either most dads or most riders, you know, and they always call and they start with the motor plant. But I'm like, guys, you need to look backwards, right? You have to start with, do you have any friends at a manufacturer or a dealership?
Right.
Okay, let's start there. And then what suspension does that bike come with? And who is the best tech that's in your region that can show up and work hard?
That's a good point.
Because suspension, like we talked about Ross earlier, like one of the greats, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you could go testing with some local guy every day or get a setting from Ross, that could be arguable because Ross's stuff would be so good, you know. But then this guy, if he has a lot of work hard, can show up and just hammer settings and settings and settings.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. There's no perfect answer.
Yeah.
Like suspension involves too many feelings. So like whenever I said the swim lanes, I went engine. It's either fast or not.
Yeah.
Suspension, like if you hit one bump down Mount St. Helen, you could think something about the suspension.
Yeah.
Or you could go 5 inches over and miss that bump and then
think something different. And for me, suspension is the most important thing.
I agree, but I also don't really participate in feelings as much as a suspension guy would need to like, you know, because like even with engine stuff, like I don't go that fast anymore. But whenever I hear some of the customers just articulate so finitely about every little thing, and I'm like, dude, I blew your doors off. I rode once this year. I'm like, you weren't even anywhere. Well, yeah. Like, but I have to put they are feeling something hat on and try to support them through, you know, whatever that is. But if I was a suspension guy, that'd be tough.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough road. Okay, so Donnie, we should go over a couple products. First one, have you tried these yet?
No, you didn't give them to me.
You noticed I brought orange ones.
I like it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't have any need for orange ones.
Yep.
Okay. We talked about this. None of my KTMs are orange.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in all of mine, I won't do anything.
Are
but
these
orange.
just a thicker sole or a different compound, or what do you got going?
It's got these nanobots inside the plastic. That are in here. Feel this thing, dude. It's magic. Now, when I say it's magic, I haven't tested it for moto yet. Only for trail and dual sport. You get your hand. It feels this good. Trail riding. This thing is so cool. They've only been out a little while, about a couple months.
A little imig twist to it.
Yeah. So it's this D30 material. It's called D30 Protected. Is this material that they've got in here? ODI has, and it's just got this little suspension for your hands. I'm calling it, and it feels amazing on the trail. I'm just worried it's a little too thick for the track. I really do like the thinner grips like we run on the Moto. Yeah. I'm gonna bring a pair and try them at the track since like it's so quick and easy to try.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try a set at the track sometime soon here, and I'm usually so concentrated on my motos that it's hard to get loose focus. You know,
well, you normally do one long moto and you're out of there.
One long moto, and then usually I call it a victory lap where I do get the GoPro on.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, these are the Nomad grips, and we are really stoked with these for trail riding. You'll need to cut the ends off on your own. Yep. You got that?
Yeah,
All right.
problem.
So Donnie's going to try these out, so we'll get him on there. And then we get a lot of comments and questions about our GoPro setup. If you email us or go to our Google Doc, we have on the Amazon links, there's a link to this this strap is $14.
Do you have an index on that?
Yes.
No, an index on the dock?
No, you just kind of got to sort through. It's organized in sections.
I mean, it's quite long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just straps to your helmet, and it gives you a really good position for your GoPro. And this little bracket allows you to film in vertical for the gram. Yeah. Yep. So even old guy can do it. All right.
Do you turn around and see that little camera I got?
This setup.
Yeah, look at the little tiny one.
Donnie's got this little setup right here.
Oh, fancy.
I'm putting on my super jet.
He's going to put it on his jet ski, and he can do vertical and horizontal at the same time.
Wow.
Spencer says that AI will eventually get it to where you can just shoot one thing.
Sure.
And it'll show him.
No problem.
You could choose both, right?
I would agree.
You would agree, okay. So you think Spencer's got this figured out?
I think he does.
Why is Ratto on our thing?
Ratto's gone.
All right.
So much blast.
So much blast. He's coming by your shop soon.
He got mad or something talking about he doesn't say that anymore. I said it to him one day. He goes, I don't say that anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, calm down, Ratto. I get it. You don't say it anymore. All right.
All right. So now the CD of the week is kind of a giveaway, right?
Total giveaway.
I did a wardrobe change.
You did a wardrobe change, but we only did like 10 minutes of the show in the old shirt, and now we've done an hour and 40 minutes in this shirt.
Right. Well, and just so you know,
this is the first non-moto shirt you've ever worn.
We went last year to see Def Leppard at the
San Diego.
At that Petco.
Petco Park.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. We were down on the floor, but it's not as great to see bands in big outdoor settings as far as being able to actually hear and see and all that.
Yeah, but we made our way.
Yeah, we went closer, but still, even
made
like
our way up front.
15 or 20 rows back. We were on the floor there, so it was close. But I went and saw them at that San Manuel.
How was it to watch there?
So good. Yeah, I've seen Tesla there and a few other ones there. That place only holds 3,000 people. And it's so good. The place, I hate going to casinos, and it's a
Pachanga has good concert venue. It's so small.
Yeah, I haven't got any there that I've wanted to see, because that's another thing, is there's so few people I want to see. So if you want to see, and most of the people I want to see are old rock guys. Near death. Yeah. Okay, we call it near death. But and there's only a few that still play well, and this is one of the bands that plays live well, no tracks. They're not up there lip syncing like
they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it was really good. And so I just went to that last week, and we had a great time, Sarah and I. And Spencer was teasing me the whole time before, because he was showing me my tickets I bought had gone up in value. He has this app. He goes, you can sell them right now. I was going to double my money. It was going to be like, dude, I'm not selling them, dude. Like, what? I'm going. Like, he goes, you can sell them right now. Just don't go. I'm like, so no. So
he shouldn't be talking about going to things when I see him at a Dodger game.
His in-laws took him to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't go. That was a family activity.
Okay, I guess that's...
Hey, so what I was going to do on this is I'm going to read the set list. So for those that...
Set FM or whatever it is?
Yeah, set list. Do you use that?
Yeah.
So when you go to a concert, one of the best things I tell guys is you look at the set list to see if you're going to like it. Like if that's something you want to see, right? And
by the way, that drives my wife absolutely nuts,
because it's like knowing the movie before you go.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't like watching.
I go to every concert I've gone to, I've looked at beforehand, and I know. And when I start hearing the song, I'm like, okay, this is the right set list I'm listening to.
So here's what I do. So now I'm in Spotify. I made a playlist. I make the playlist in order. So the playlist was similar to what we went to last year. I made the playlist, and they changed a couple songs. So I went to, like over the last few weeks, I went and checked, and they just plugged a couple different songs in, and the set list stays. They know what to do. One thing I'll say is they only play the most they play off of any one album is like 3 songs. So because Pyromania and Hysteria, they could play it in their entirety. We talked about that before, like with AC/DC could with Black and Highway to Hell. They could play those albums in their entirety, and people would be like, good, I'll go home. That's good. Yeah, there's 20 songs or 18 songs or whatever, and you'd be good.
No, it's tough because there's like a bit of, like if it's Def Leppard, maybe it's something, but if it's a current band, there's still like a bit of marketing to try to get that new album downloaded.
Yes. And with these older bands, they know that people really aren't buying their new stuff. But what I will say is their new music is really good. They keep coming out with some newer stuff, and it's been good. They came out with an album in 22, Kick, and it was a really good song. It's an older rock, it's not like what it was in 81 and 82. So so they start off with Gods of War, that symphony one. It's all on track, and then Rock Till You Drop, Rock It, Let's Get Rocked. There's a theme here with rock with Def Leppard. Okay, Foolin', and then Armageddon. Animal, Love Bites, Just Like 73. That's a new song. Has a cool video that's like an AI with them like in England. Let It Go, that's off of High and Dry, the second album. Die Hard the Hunter, This Guitar, really cool song. That's off a newer one. 2 Steps Behind, also a newer song. Bringin' on the Heartbreak, and then Switch 625, that instrumental, that's really cool. Rock of Ages, Photograph, Hysteria, Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Songs.
Dude, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
And I was just there, and I got goosebumps again. So if you're in one of those areas, I was on the way here just now, and then they were talking. The DJ was talking about there's one of these. They're not going on full tour. They just go to these little places like these casinos that are paying them, because they've been doing stadiums. Now they do these stadiums like they share it with, that was with Journey.
Yeah, we saw
and
Journey,
then the year before that they did the one with Motley Crue in those stadiums.
Yeah.
And so I think they get paid pretty good by these casinos to come into these places. That's why we don't have any. We're not going to, to the Glen Helen anymore. They're not doing that stuff. So they go to these casinos, and it's a great place to see them in those places. So if you can go see a band like Def Leppard or Tesla before those kind of bands before they are too late, and
before they time out.
Before they time out.
Yeah.
Ozzy played 2 weeks before he died.
How rad was that?
Unbelievable. And what's kind of funny is he had said leading up to that, he said if he had died on stage, that
the ultimate.
Yeah. He thought it was like the ultimate.
He'd have been happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he seriously died. Yeah. 2 weeks later. And it was pretty rad. There was some really cool footage from that concert.
Well,
so
you have to wonder, I haven't got to that stage in my life, thankfully, but you're fighting. You're like, man, if I could just do this show, it'd be everything I need.
Right.
And then you quit fighting, and then it doesn't take long and you're gone.
Right.
Like, that's wild.
He worked up to that.
That's goosebumpy, right?
Right. And because they gave everything, and with a short period of time, and his wife helped, and these people, I've heard a lot of stories about how that concert came together. And they put a lot of effort into making that thing happen, right? And what if he had died a week before,
a day before?
Then it would have just been. Then it would have just been a tribute.
Yeah.
Because all these people would have been a tribute. I guess they knew that as a backup plan, right?
Sure.
Or if he was just completely unable to perform, but he was able to sit there and perform some, which was amazing to be able to do.
Legendary status.
Yeah. To do that with that disease, and it's pretty gnarly.
It's always cool whenever a generation that wouldn't have had any connection to Ozzy Osbourne, like every edit you saw of the kids riding moto around town, was like nothing but Ozzy, and it's like
it's so funny when
they touch their life some way.
When I
right?
see
like
these young kids have any shirt on, Def Leppard or Ozzy or AC/DC, and I look at them and I'm like, is it just style, or do you actually listen to that?
Well, I think a lot of them it's style because it's like looks cool. But
speaking of style, I'd like to touch on a topic.
Yeah,
camo is everywhere right now. And I grew up in Louisiana, right? So everyone there wears camo. Like, it hasn't went out of style ever. It's always in style. And then I see my daughter come down the stairs, and I'm like
Duck Dynasty.
Yeah,
you're like,
you were just making fun of all my friends when we were home for wearing camo.
Well,
what are you doing?
I've got something to say. That is, I've been into camo for how many years?
Yeah.
Years and years. Everything I can put on camo. We did camo on one of my bikes one time. I'm like,
nobody sees it.
Nobody sees it. Everybody's like, you have a bike? I don't see it.
All right. So, the one thing I wanted to mention in the photos there, Donnie, I got a picture of this 98 KX250. You'll see the engine's all disgusting.
Yep.
This guy, Dustin Wellman, sent me some photos. He's starting on this build, and he, the guy's just doing a good job. I helped him try to, he was trying to find some parts. I helped him figure out where to find some parts for it. So he got some cool, he's got the frame all green, and then he had to get a case because those cases on those KX250s, it was not a smart design, but the cable for the clutch on that left side case, it went into the case, so that sometimes that tab would get broken off, and you're just hosed, man. And I told him, and then he sent me some photos online, like on some people had posted, they made brackets, they made some homegrown stuff to make it work without welding and doing it.
Seems like they drill and tap and make like a 90 something or whatever.
They made, and some guys.
Speaking of KX2 trucks, what do you think? I know I'm off topic here, but
no,
dude, at Anaheim, big thing, right? Like, got us all fired up.
Here we are, almost 9 months later.
Where is it? Where is it?
Come on, Kawasaki, do better.
Do better.
Where is it?
Do you think that they could have got delayed a little bit? Why would you do it and then no? Because if it is a new model coming out in 20, which we know there are coming. I've talked to enough people. I know they're coming, but you would want to announce it in June or July to get people to hold off from buying anything else.
I can't understand the play.
Right.
What's the yen doing? Is it doing good?
Well, they just did
compared to the dollar.
They did a giant push on their side-by-side market, and they came out with a ridiculous side-by-side.
Oh, they did.
Oh my gosh,
dude! To compete with the
dude, it's got like 260 horsepower. It'll go 100 miles an hour.
Really?
It's crazy.
Wow. So it's going to be better than some of the Razors and stuff. Oh. Because their TRX was kind of a heavy duty. What was it called?
Terex.
Terex, yeah.
Their other one was decent, but it was slow. It was like 68 miles an hour, and anybody trying to race them in a stock class, that it wouldn't
keep up with the Polarises. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm saying that they made this big push now on the side by side. So could those dollars have taken over some of that advertising for this two-stroke.
Are we dreaming it's a 300 and a 125? Those are my dreams.
That's what I've heard. No, I've heard
is
that
that
there's
what
going to
you
be
think?
I've heard there's going to be a 125 or 150, 120, a small one, and 250, 300, and a trail version as well.
I mean, at this stage, as good as four strokes are, I think we could get the rule changed to 150s.
right.
Sure.
Like, and then you'd be closer to a level playing field of what we get out of 250X.
And a 300.
But like I heard a lot of grumblings that the 112 class was going away, right? And then what happened was whenever Cowie released that 112 stock
Yeah, they
bike,
made it. Yeah.
it's set in stone. The AMA would have to turn on Kawasaki
Right.
on a model after they probably assured them it was okay to make.
After
So that class is here to stay.
And Kawasaki was the small bike amateur class for 20 years. There was
Yeah.
nobody else that was even that competitive with them. They did everything. When they had the Race of Champions and all that stuff,
Yeah.
they
I'm not sure there was a KX65 or a KX85 this year at Loretta's.
No, I know there's no 65s. We looked. I didn't look at 85s. It had to be next to nothing. It's just so sad what's happened there.
And normally they find this super hot rod kid off the
Right.
50s, and he wins on this bike, right? So if they're willing to put in the effort towards the 125 and 300 project, like the 125 is very essential.
Yes.
I have a path that I believe it's 85 125 and super mini 250B limited 250Fs. So if you are size appropriately and you finish 85s and you haven't rode a super mini yet, you are a great candidate for a 125. But the minute that you ride like a crazy horsepower 112 like Dame Pappas has, right?
Yeah.
When you ride something like that and then you go to a 125, it's not any faster.
Yeah.
It's just docile and bigger,
especially
and rotating
power
weight.
to weight ratio, right? Like,
Yeah, and
because those 112s you guys have are gnarly.
Yeah, it's like a 33 mil carb up to like a 38.
What kind of horsepower you think?
So our 112 and Jay knows I'm a big like not really blast horsepower numbers or whatever, but like a KTM 125 may be 34 horse stock or something like that, like the older non-EFI ones. Those come a bit better.
Yeah.
But like our Super Mini's right there, like just under it.
Close.
Yeah. And the power to weight ratio and
Much bigger,
the length of like axle to axle.
Yeah.
And you sit over the rear axle. So when you get in the gas and that little bitty carburetor opens, it just wants to freaking go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most radical bike that we build.
How cool are those classes at Loretta's? Watching those super minis, like
I mean, they line up for it. There's classes they line up for, and this year the 125 class was a lot more fun. And I don't know if I'm just paying more attention. Like sometimes everything's cool, but what you pay attention to seems cool.
Right.
And I enjoyed watching the 125s this year. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's now there. It's just 125. They can't be 150s.
Right, just 125s.
Okay.
Right, but I think you'd see more younger kids stay on two strokes if they'd be 150s, right? But then the argument would be, well, that's too much bike, and so
What's
no
a
matter
250F?
Well, you have a lot more rotating weight, and
I'm just
whatever.
saying, like you can say that about anything, honestly.
So you probably have your boy ride Super Mini.
Yeah, because he'll be small.
Yeah, you're okay.
Like we did
I see what you're saying.
85s for that Sawyer Geek kid, and he won 85 10 to 12 limited and 85 mod. And he's just a big dude.
So he's too big to stay on Super Mini, so he's going to get on 125.
Yep. So he's
My
going
kid
straight
had to be
125s.
on a full size bike when he was 10.
Yep.
But you wore husky jeans too.
Yeah, he's like 6'2".
Camel
he's
hats.
Camo hats.
Camo hats. He's 16. He's like 6'2", 220 pounds.
I mean, you got to move that guy up.
Yeah.
But that's the tough part too, because like a Sawyer Geek who's been dominant in earlier classes and who just like he got the small kids award at Loretta's. Like, luckily this year we had Deacon Dino who won 250B and 450B mod. I know Schoolboy 2 and 250B on one of our setups.
Yeah.
And the Sawyer Geek won, and they both got like the youth and the amateur award of, not the Horizon award. That's the pro guy that's moving on.
Right.
Timmerman grabbed that one. But there's 3 predominant trophies, and we got 2 of the 3 of them this
That's
year. Which
awesome.
is it's happenstance,
Right.
like right rider at the right time, give him good enough equipment, and he shines.
It's cool. And it's a tough environment there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So
Yeah, and I could speak to a little bit of that because living in Southern California, growing up in Louisiana, I have never seen ruts like that in my life. Like our old track builder, Mike Shea, when we had an area, like a Loretta Lynn's area or something like that, right? Like he'd go get rice holes because we do a lot of farming and stuff like that in Louisiana, and he'd put these rice holes probably a foot to 2 foot deep around the track, and then you can't get enough water in them. And so it's like, dude, it's the roughest. So
what's he doing with these? What's he doing with these rice holes? What's a rice hole?
It's the
shell that comes.
It's the
off
shell of the rice.
Oh,
they put it in a Supercross track or something.
It absorbs a lot of water.
Yeah.
And so when you mix that with kind of the gumbo mud or whatever, like the ruts are just crazy deep. And so for one race of the year, it's the most unrealistic time you ever ride a motorcycle in Louisiana. And so it felt a lot the same at Loretta's, where like it's a slot car track of ruts that just go around. And if you want to get into a different slot car track, you just move over when you have any opportunity. And then you're in another rut for that time. Yeah. And then some of the ruts go so far out of the way that like I should have just suffered in the inside one. At least I wouldn't have went so far distance. Yeah. And so I don't know. Like as a rider for the first time riding there, that was my experience of like you can't really practice that anywhere, and why would you? Like if Glenn Helen did that, how much money would it cost? Right. And they wouldn't, because we're lucky in California. Like there's always an inside rut, but there's a really nice berm on the outside of it that's not too beat up.
Right. Right, for sure. Yeah, I only rode there once. I told you I rode there as like they had a little industry thing 20 years ago, and I thought the rear brake was stuck on the bike when I let off. I let off the gas and I looked down. I thought the rear brake, and it's still like a KX250 two-stroke, and
no engine braking.
No engine braking. It was like, and there's just the soil was so soft is all I remember. And I can tell you right now, from what I can tell, the track now, like watching that drone footage and seeing all that stuff, what they had this year is so much more ruts and longer.
I felt that
than anything I've seen in the past. It's crazy how gnarly it is.
But I also can tell you that like at 43 years old, I'm going to the line and I got butterflies, and I'm like thinking about, oh man, I'm pretty good at starts. I'm gonna rip a sick one right now. And then I go to pull the chip and it's 42. I'm like, I'm hosed. I'm done. I'm not even going to get one magical start. I'm already on the outside. These guys are all way better than I am. I'm just going to figure out whatever I can do at this point. And it took all the pressure off, so I actually truly enjoyed.
So it was probably better that you didn't have, because if you had a good gate pick, then you would have felt pressure to try harder.
Oh, I was going to the line like with butterflies, like I was about to like watch the pin that holds the gate, because that falls first, and just hammer this thing out of the gate. Right. And my 350's fast, so I'm like bound to get a good start. I'm thinking, but. That's the love of racing or riding, whatever. You just have all these thoughts that like might happen, and you're just like trying to schedule them and be ahead of them, and so it was a really cool experience. I've like in my adult life, I've raced Mammoth a bunch, because it's kind of regionally I can, and other events, but I had nerves, like real nerves going to the line, and that makes you feel alive,
right? And I don't get that too much anymore, because now I'm a professional practicer. I just enjoy
riding. There's a lot
riding.
of good in that. You come home to ride again,
Yeah, like, and there's still obviously there's a chance of getting hurt. I've gotten hurt plenty practicing, but it's less stress for me, and I can stay in my comfort zone, ride just where I want, that whole thing. So anyway,
well, I mean, you watch somebody on the track, we all gauge, right? You're oh yeah, I could probably hang with that, and then when you go to the line, you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to figure this out or not,
right? And like you said, just like that, it's like, and I'm out there every Tuesday, Thursday that I can at Glen Helen and Saturdays. And there's guys that pass me that I can kind of stay close to. I know how I can stay close to them. I can hold certain guys.
You're watching those suckers like a hawk at the race. Huh?
Oh, yeah. It's a fun time. All right, we went way too long for Donnie. Sorry, Donnie. But
no, I'm okay.
You have a long time to edit this, though.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine.
We're gonna get some good photos. You need to send us some photos.
I can pull
maybe
some old Deegan photos and some like old.
Send us some of that. You just text them to me, and I'll send them. And we'll get them in the show. Some from
team stuff,
any of those
from
Loretta's this year when you guys are back there. Any of that kind of stuff. I pulled a few things off the internet, but we can use some more. So anyway, it's been fun. You're awesome. It's awesome to have you as a friend, and it's good. It's good to work with good guys. Over the years that do this kind of stuff and are passionate about it.
Yeah. So. And I do have to say thank you as well, because you have kind of guided me through this whole industry, and like, don't do that, like almost like the old man in the rocking chair, right?
Yeah.
So I do appreciate your friendship and looking after me over the years.
Yeah, well, it's not for free. I like power. So it's nice. It's nice having good ECUs running. It's nice to have, and it is, for whatever it's worth, there's not a even though there's competition on the engine builder side of things, there's not a lot of good people to send people to that I can trust, because I get a lot of guys that have problems, and so it's nice to be able to send people to you guys for the mapping.
Well, I
and stuff
kind of
like
brought my some of my problem solving kit, right? I wanted to educate the customer, because if we can do that, they're back on the track sooner in riding.
I think one thing that's a misconception for a lot of people, they just think that that you could just sit around and hardly do anything. But you are hands-on all day, diagnosing and troubleshooting this kind of stuff, and learning, and then dynoing and testing. So like the maps that end up in these bikes take a lot of effort and time.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
They're built, not bought. That's for sure.
That's for sure. All right, well, it's been fun, Donnie. We're gonna leave out with that. So I told you about that video earlier.
Yep.
Spencer's we're gonna make this show even longer.
Yeah.
So we've been making these cool songs. I want to play you these AI songs. Mm-hmm. So Spencer's made these cool.
It's
songs.
Unbelievable.
They're so cool, dude. Anyway, we have one we made for
like
that
a country song backwards, where you get your dog back.
Yeah.
I just mentioned this.
He just brought that up.
I just
Old
brought
Blue
this up.
comes home.
Hey, and I'm going on a ride. I'll bring some footage back from that September ride.
Early September.
2 weeks.
Okay. Going to
Colorado, Breckenridge, Colorado.
Breckenridge, okay.
For a KTM ride.
A KTM adventure ride. You're going to stay on the adventure bike. Your knee is still not there.
Great. Yeah.
But we're going to see what happens, what we're going to do. But after next MRI.
Yep.
You've had lots of MRIs.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, knock on wood. Hopefully you can get it fixed up and we can get back to riding. We're going to leave out with that footage. Remember, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Be cool to people. We'll see you.
See ya.
Wiseco Piston has over 80 years of experience manufacturing pistons in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Wiseco pistons are developed and proven through professional racers, teams, and engine builders, including factory Honda HRC, Club MX, DBTV, Twisted Development, and many more. Wiseco is rooted in supporting grassroots racers across the country. Wiseco has been a sponsor of Loretta's and GNCC Racing since their very first events. Wiseco has a piston to fit the needs of any type of rider, from reliable rebuilds to serious racers. Wiseco is still the piston expert. However, the brand has evolved and has a complete range of performance components, including engine rebuild kits, clutch and valve train components, crankshafts, gaskets, and more. Wiseco has all of your power sports machines covered, from dirt bikes to UTVs, ATVs to jet skis. Find what you need at wiseco.com. We work with some great companies, and here's a list of those right now. Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, Wiseco Piston, Vinco Air Shocks and Dirt Bike Parts, FMF Exhaust, Decal Works Graphics, Pro X Racing Parts, Recluse Clutch Revolution, Motion Pro Specialty Motorcycle Tools, Works Connection, Uni Filter, Klotz Oil, Cometic Gasket, MX Plastics, JE Pistons, Cardo Systems, ODI Bars and Grips. And remember, if you shop Rocky Mountain, use our link from our site, Linktree, or link in description of the videos. Thanks for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.